Waiting on my tube to go live. There it is.
When two cultures collide, which one will stand to liberate the black community? First of all, I need to acknowledge why this debate is necessary.
Black News 102. Whose words will survive when we purge the lies? That curse the divine, cast the pearls to swine. Reverse the design, even merge divide. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Might hurt to decide just who verbs will vibe. When we curve all the jive, whether girls or guys. No herbs left alive in this earthly skies. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Clash of the titans. Facts will enlighten. Some spitting mad, but they ain't half as exciting. This platform we battle for the souls of man. Those kidnapped and trapped upon stolen land. Doesn't matter where you at on this earth. Africa's the true origin of your birth. Teaching you true health and wealth. Knowledge of self-worth instead of killing and going to jail over turf. We all truth seekers asking questions. Should we seek them in the shrine lodge or the lessons? Is the answer ancestral science or religion? Is it freedom or Willie Lynch a little different? Is it Indian, Aboriginal, indigenous people? Should we worship money? Is it still a root of all evil? We all born with mental ancestral science or religion. The thing that's gonna free us is the actual facts. Whose words will survive when we purge the lies? That curse the divine, cast the pearls to swine. Reverse the design, even merge divide. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Might hurt to decide just who verbs will vibe. When we curve all the jive, whether girls or guys. No herbs left alive in this earthly skies. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Is it the gods and herbs or the Moors? Should we master UCC and commercial law? Is it being Muslim, Christians, or the Jews? Should we push the old school and need something new? Is it atheism, Egyptologists, Hebrew Israelites, flat earthers, herbalists? To get our people right, I'm in Rod Squad, RBG, or New Covenant. Should we work for it? Should we overthrow the government? Should we all go for self, being savages and vultures? Pan-African, or is hip-hop our culture? Is it nationality or correct status? Should we integrate Me Too or Black Lives Matter? Should we hit the streets with the Panthers? Unify the gangs is all-out war the right answer. Are we Asiatic or Arabian? Should we just free Dr. York and be Nawapi and a Sabian? Whose words will survive when we purge the lies? That curse the divine, cast the pearls to swine. Reverse the design, even merge divide. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Might hurt to decide just who verbs will vibe. When we curve all the jive, whether girls or guys. No herbs left alive in this earthly skies. Side net TV when two worlds collide.
All right, family, you already know what it is, man. You already see it's going down. We are in day 4. Wow. Your brother Sarnetta has been bringing you some powerful information from the beginning of the work week, which is Monday. We are now on Wednesday? Thursday. We are now in Thursday. Like I said, we are in Thursday, and this will be a heavy hitting debate. Make no mistake about it. I know y'all haven't seen. Yeah, y'all did see Chief X. Chief X went at it with Polite on this channel. So y'all familiar with the brother. Y'all know he gets it in. And bro, I think this right here will be, because I've been studying Chief X. I've been watching him. I think this will be Brother Jabari's toughest battle yet, going up against Brother Chief X. So I want to let everybody know. Brother, y'all got 10 minutes in the first round. You see what the topic is. Is spirituality helpful or pointless? Make sure as y'all come in, y'all hit the thumbs up so we don't have to stop y'all and tell y'all to hit that thumbs up button. And I want to thank everybody who have donated and contribute to the GoFundMe. Jabari, we up there. We passed 4,000 already, Jabari. So we there. The people showing love and they supporting. So we there. We up the, oh man, I didn't even know we was up that far because I ain't checking since yesterday. We up to $4,406. Hopefully before it's over, we can at least have $5,000 in the bank on this one right here. So brother, without any further ado, I would like for you, my brother Chief X, to introduce yourself. Give the people your opening argument. You got 3 minutes in your opening argument. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on Southern Studios, the House of Consciousness. Here to have a discussion, really, with my brother, Jabari Osase. Jabari Osase is a brother I've kind of looked up to. I respect him. I think he's a brilliant and intelligent man with good morals and manners. So it's not going to be a contentious thing, and we're not going to be shooting too many shots, you know what I mean? I might throw one every blue moon, you know what I mean? But so I'm just your brother, Chief X. I'm out of Los Angeles, you know what I mean? So, you know, sometimes you got to bring some West Coast flavor to the New York scene, you know what I mean? And we're going to do this, and, you know, I'm happy to be here. I see some people in the chat already making decisions, and before the debate even started, before they heard one perspective, you know what I mean? So, you know, I wanted to title this Spirituality.
Keep your head out the chat. That's going to distract you, brother.
I'm not.
You better do what you got to do.
I want to title this, I wanted to title it Spirituality, the two perspectives, because spirituality is a broad topic. You know, you got African Americans, you got diasporas, you got people in Africa and countries all over the world. It's a broad topic. You know, I don't think that per se anyone can be wrong or right. Like, even when you pour sources, it's all opinions and it's subjective. It's so many forms of spirituality. It's so many religions and things like that. So I think I'm gonna try to make it a little comprehensive and nail it down.
Okay. So, brother, before we go to Jabari, I'm gonna ask you one question. Try to give me a quick answer. How do you define spirituality?
Well, in my opinion, you know, I'm doing that in my opening first presentation, so I can kind of.
Okay.
It's part of my opening presentation.
I got you. Brother Jabari, your opening argument, brother, you need to sway the people your way, early start to see how you can get the people to you. Is on you, my brother.
Well, family, first of all, let me say, as I always say, that I am honored to be able to speak to the Sonetter TV Black News 102 family. It is absolutely important that we continue to have dialogues about the direction our community should go in, and actually what we should view as the most important actions that our community should take. So I really want to thank you for having me, Sonetta. Again, I'm honored to speak to you. Now, having said that, let me say that Chief X is someone who I have looked at, followed, particularly on Facebook, where sometimes he be going in on the Kemetic spiritual forum. But I think I see him as someone who likes to prod and tease people. So he puts some stuff out there and wants you to respond. That's one of the reasons why I don't get upset when I see some of the stuff he puts out, because I know he's looking for a response, because then in the dialogue, he's less strident than the first post he put up. So I get that now, right? He's someone I respect. I really have to say that whenever I hear him speak, he's articulate, he's well reasoned, and he's a business owner. And so these are things that we need and should celebrate in our community. It is not crucial for Chief X and I to agree on everything. By the way, what kind of boring world would we live in if we agreed on everything?
Facts.
So we need to just recognize that Chief X is a brother that I would be able to work with. I hope you see he's a brother he can work with. And I hope you see me as someone you could work with, whether you agree with everything or not. And so we're going to have an interesting, respectful discussion. Just as he's going to throw a few jabs, I might throw a few jabs. But
well, you know you're going up against Pernell Whitaker, right, Jabari? You're going up against Pernell Whitaker right there. That's the Pernell Whitaker right there.
I told Jabari he can be Mayweather for now, but I'm Pernell Whitaker was my favorite fighter when I used to box back in the day.
Wow.
Pernell Whitaker was robbed a few times, but he ain't never been whooped.
Wow.
So,
Well,
Jabari, before we get this started, I would like for you to define spirituality so we could get it in.
I'm going to, but let me say this really quickly. I think that as we have this discussion, think about what these issues mean to you. Don't get caught up in, who you like more than someone else. This is an important topic, right? So think about what this topic means to you. And hopefully what we're going to do is we're going to massage the issue enough for us to be able to present a side to you that will be convincing. And so that's really what I want to say about how to address this. Now, with regard to the difference perhaps between religion and spirituality, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Some of you will recognize this. This is actually a slide that I use in a conversation.
All right, come on, Jabari. No screens yet. This is just the opening, brother.
Brother, listen, I want to show you where it comes from. Spirituality, relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. And religion is the belief and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. So I just want you to understand that basically speaks to some of the difference.
Good. Now, Jabari, I got to say this to you real quick before we even start.
Go ahead.
You always fighting me, brother. When I say something, you got to just heal. You got to let me get the last word. I'm the moderator, and the people see that. They be like, come on, Saul. Why you be letting Jabari go in? When you're the moderator, he got to have discipline too. So, but Jabari, hold on, Jabari. When I say stop, it's stop, brother. You got to stop fighting me. You my brother. You know I love you, and I give you a lot of rope, man. But the people be saying that's unfair, Saul.
But the reason why people say that is because they are cheering for people who have no decorum, curse regularly, yell and scream. I don't do that. Now listen, I disagreed with you saying not to show your screen because you didn't tell me that before. So the screen was already up. I mean, this isn't, hopefully you don't see me talking about the difference between spirituality and religion as a salvo to Chief X. You asked me to talk about the topic, I had a slide. So anyway.
All right. So brother Chief X, we need you here because you going first. You the challenger. I would like to give you 10 minutes in this round and we're going to start it off. Is spirituality helpful or pointless for our people? Chief X, the time will start when you start. You got 10 minutes, my brother.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
See my screen?
Not yet. Not yet. I don't see your screen yet, brother. I didn't start the time yet. Share screen, go to the bottom.
Gotcha. All right. You see my screen?
I see your screen. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, time start, 10 minutes.
Okay, so first I want to define spirit and I want to define spirituality, okay? This is very important. And then I'm going to go in on talking about how African Americans embrace different forms of spirituality. My second round, I'll be talking about how people outside the diaspora of African Americans in Africa and other countries define and view spirituality. So let's go. Spirit, let's just define this. First of all, let me just tell people, if they're not clear about me, I'm a pantheist. I don't call myself an atheist. I'm a pantheist. You can look that up on your own. Okay, spirit in folk, but and I'm just using Wikipedia just to lay down the groundwork to define two simple words. Although spirit and spirituality defined can be personal and subjective, and everyone may have a different definition or understanding. So we're just going to use Wikipedia for a basic definition. Spirit, okay? So I widen this so people can see. In folk belief, spirit is the vital principle or animating force within all living things. I'm a living organism. Jabari's a living organism. A cow is a living organism. As far back as 1628 and 1630, respectively, both William Harvey and Renee, excuse me, because let me scroll this down. speculated that somewhere within the body, in a special locality, there was a vital spirit or vital force, which animated the whole bodily frame, such as the engine in a factory moves the machinery in it. Spirit has frequently been conceived of as a supernatural being or non-physical entity. Pay attention to the wordings. Supernatural being or a non-physical entity, for example, a demon, ghost, fairy, angels, something I personally don't believe in. In ancient Islamic terminology, however, a spirit applies to only the pure spirits, but not other individual creatures such as jinns. Okay, historically, spirit has been used to refer to a subtle as opposed gross material substance as put forth in the notable last paragraph of such and such. Here we go, hold on 1 second. The concepts of spirit and soul often overlap, and both are believed to survive bodily death in some religions, and spirit can have the sense of a ghost, an example, a manifestation of spirit of a deceased person. Spirit is also often used to refer to the consciousness or personality. So, in my opinion, what I consider spirit is what this says exactly right here. A person's personality. Everyone has their own spirit. Spirituality is corporate, is individual, not corporate, okay? So if I say, hey, this cheerleader is spirited, she has a personality. She's outgoing, ambitious, she smiles. This is her personality. Everyone has their own individual personality. So example, if I say the spirit of Christmas is here, I'm talking about the personality of Christmas, the Yuletide season, the smell of the pine trees in your home. All of this is considered the Christmas spirit. The personality is what spirit is. It's the personality of Christmas, okay? Let's go ahead real quick and define spirituality in a sense, and then I'm gonna go in. So, just to be clear, I said your spirit is your personality. Some also say breath, but I like to stick with personality. You have your own personality. It's your own individual. You're different than another individual, okay? So spirit is individual, not corporate, okay? Now we go to spirituality. The meaning of spirituality has developed and expanded over time, and various connotations can be found alongside each other. Traditionally, spirituality referred to what? A religious process of reformation which aims to recover the original shape of man, oriented at the image of God, it says. I hope you guys can see this. As exemplified by the founders of sacred texts of the religions of the world. So spirituality and religion are related. In my opinion, they're one of the same. Without religion, there would never be spirituality, in my opinion. Okay? The term was used within early Christianity to refer to a life oriented towards the Holy Spirit, and broadened during the late Middle Ages to include mental aspects of life. So early forms and understandings of spirituality had to do with religion. Let's just keep that real, okay? In modern times like today, yesterday, last year, 100 years ago, in modern times, the term both spread to other religious traditions and broadened to refer to a wider range of experience, including the range of esoteric traditions and religious traditions, you know? So we go on to talk about, okay, let me just read this real quick. It also includes esoteric stuff, such as beliefs in supernatural. I don't believe in the supernatural. Personal growth, a quest for ultimate or sacred meaning, religious experience, okay? Spirituality and religion is combined, and don't let anyone tell you any different, okay? So when we go on to modern spirituality, let's define. Modern spirituality, modern notions of spirituality developed throughout the 19th and 20th century, mixing Christian ideas with Western esoteric traditions and elements of Asian, especially Indian religions. Keep that in your head. Traditions of elements of Asian, especially Indian religions. We're going to go into Hinduism. Because in today's time, in the conscious community, in the so-called conscious community, for lack of a better word, majority of sisters embrace Hinduism and Hinduism concepts. This is true. So, what is a part of modern day spirituality? Let me just go back real quick. A major influence on modern spirituality, this is the first thing they're saying, the major influence on today, what we have as African Americans in America, the major influence on modern spirituality was the Theosophical Society. You guys know who the Theosophical Society is? Let's go. The Theosophical Society, founded in 1875 as a worldwide body to aim to advance the ideas of theosophy and continuation with previous theosophists, especially at the Greek and Alexandrian Neoplatonic philosophers. Okay, but let's continue. We're the headquarters of theosophy. The original organization, after splits and realignments, currently has several successes following the death of Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky is known for modern spirituality teachings. We're going to go into who Madame Blavatsky is, and she was one of the heads of the Theosophical Societies. The former group headquartered in India, it says. So I said, remember when I said India, Hinduism, and
1 minute, 1 minute.
Religions, okay?
You heard me?
Yes, sir. The Theosophical Society was formed in New York City. It's always something about New York where a lot of stuff comes out. In 1875 by Helena Blavatsky. And things that Helen Blavatsky taught, and I wish I had 12 minutes, but this is what the sisters are into. Give me an extra minute. The sisters in the conscious community are into spiritual things like chakra. Something that is pointless, doesn't do anything, and there's no such thing as a chakra. What is a chakra? It's Sanskrit. The word is Sanskrit, Indian, Hinduism, okay? And it's a wheel or various focal points in the subtle body used in a variety of ancient meditation practices, collectively denominated as Tantra, or the esoteric or inner traditions of what? Hinduism. So if you're embracing chakras, this is what the African Americans, so I'm gonna stick with African Americans right now. If you're an African American sister, a lot of them embrace chakras, kundalini, tantra, yoga, meditation.
You don't hear that, Chief X? You don't hear that?
I didn't hear it.
You don't hear that?
I do now.
Yeah, that's time, brother. All right, just stop where you at. Remove your screen and you got more time to go back to it. Brother Jabari, yes, you hear me?
Now listen, you could beat me up for this. I'd be okay if he took another minute. Are you okay?
All right, we'll do that in the next round because it stopped this momentum. So
okay, that's fine.
Extra time here, let me know and we let it go.
I can get it in real quick in 1 minute, sir.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so chakras, the concept is found in the early traditions of Hinduism. Beliefs differ between the Indian religions, with many Buddhist texts consistently mentioning the 5 chakras, while Hindu sources offer 6 or 7. Okay? Chakras, there's no such thing as a chakra. No such thing. It is a spiritual thing of Hinduism. Oops, 1 second. 30 seconds. And also chakras coincides with Kundalini. Kundalini is also what? Sanskrit, Indian, Hindu, a coiled snake. And Hinduism is a form of divine feminine energy or Shakti, believed to be located at the base of the spine. It's not located at the base of the spine. There's no such thing as a Kundalini. It is an important concept of Shiva Tantric. So all this stuff, I know I have shorter time, Kundalini, chakras, yoga, meditation, all that is Hindu and pointless and doesn't help you progress in life. It doesn't educate you. It doesn't help you start a business. It's entertainment and things that people in religion sell you. It's for sale. Okay?
All right. Unshare your screen. Unshare your screen, Brother Jabari. It is on you. 10 minutes, brother.
Yep.
Is spirituality helpful or pointless? Time will start when you start, Brother Jabari.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me just get my clock up because I like to know where I'm at too. Okay. Now, first of all, let me thank our brother.
You started your clock already?
I just started it. Yeah.
All right. I'm starting mine.
7 seconds in, so it's only 7 seconds. I want to thank our brother for a spirited rejoinder. He's trying to really share some information to the family, and I think that that's really helpful. I think he's trying to layer some stuff. So maybe I will hold back some of what I'm saying because I want to see what he's going to say. It's strategy, son. That is strategy. So let me simply say that with regard to some of what he said, let me share my screen. I'm going to show you part of the presentation I have. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay, is spirituality pointless or helpful? First, let me go back to the description of spirituality versus religion. I'm not sure if Chief X meant to say this. He did say there is no religion without spirituality. No, he said there's no spirituality without religion. I wrote it the way that I thought of. Because let's keep in mind that spirituality, I agree with the Oxford Living Dictionary's definition of this. Spirituality is seeing yourself as more than a physical being, seeing yourself as perhaps an entity that is a soul or a spirit and is connected to things around you, perhaps to the universe. But religion, while it may include that, is more focused on a superhuman controlling power or a personal god or gods. And so I think that it is possible to say that you are spiritual without actually finding yourself, quote unquote, within a religion. But let me say to you, when religion is done correctly, this is how it should look. It should look like spirituality. More on that in a few moments. Let me also say that he mentioned that he was a pantheist. By the way, Chief X, let me say that while I don't necessarily use that term, I think that pantheism is a European attempt to describe in some ways African spiritual forms. It was first brought to our thinking by Irish freethinker John Toland, probably around 1705. And here's the idea that comes from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. At its most general, pantheism may be understood positively as a view that God is identical with the cosmos, and the view that there exists nothing which is outside of God, or else negatively, or as a rejection of any view that considers God as distinct from the universe. That's how John Toland would have described it. But I want to be clear that in West Africa, you will see this symbol, sometimes called Jinyame. And when people who are in the Khan traditions talk about Jinyame, and they say it in English, sometimes they just say all but God. So in some ways, the concept that the creator is in all things, is not a European concept. It's a concept that long predates Europe and their thinking. Now, let's say that I believe that you're going to see something similar in the Kemetic tradition, but I'll go into that a bit later. Now, more to the topic, because I'm not sure if Chief X really was on topic that much in that particular round. Here are the benefits that I will argue you get from spirituality. There's 7 of them, and I don't know if I'll be able to get to all of them in this particular debate. But I believe morality is one of the benefits of spirituality. Medicine and science come from spirituality. Finding one's balance is often found through spirituality. A sense of community, connecting with other people in a positive way, often comes from spirituality. We see that spirituality is one of the greatest purveyors of tradition and culture. There's a reason why, for example, the Black church in which is just a few miles away from a white church of the same denomination tend to sound different. There's a reason. Let's go further. I believe that one of the benefits is also the connection to the world around you and the connection to the environment. These are 7 benefits that I think that you'll find in spirituality. First, with morality, understand that in the world's first complete book, written by an African, take a look at this brother's image. He wrote the world's earliest complete book, and it's believed he wrote it somewhere between 2412 to 2375 BCE. That means that this text is nearly 5,000 years old. Here are some of the things that this African says. He says, great is the law of Ma'at. All conduct should be straight, and so you can measure it with a plumb line. He's talking about how to be a good person in your community, to your family. All conduct should be straight. Injustice exists in abundance, but evil can never succeed in the long run. Doesn't that sound like something that Martin Luther King said? Yes, it is something that Martin Luther King said. Punish with principle, teach meaningfully. The act of stopping evil leads to the lasting establishment of virtue. And here's another. Humans never accomplish anything. It's what the inter commands that gets done. So you can see that in the African mindset, particularly in this image, in the Kemetic mindset, spirituality and morality are indistinguishable. I will argue to you, family, that some of these wonderful African-American folks, I might include Brother Chief X in this, I'm not sure yet, who are uncomfortable with spirituality, they got their morals from spiritual settings and in younger years. They're gonna say their parents gave it to them. Well, Grandmama was talking about spirituality when she was giving you morality. Okay, let's be really clear that one of the greatest purveyors of morality is spirituality. Without spirituality, I think that we would live in a very different world. Now, that doesn't mean that spirituality or religion has done some very negative things. That's very clear, and I wouldn't even argue with you on that. But let's be also clear that it also has benefits. And you're seeing here the personification of Ma'at. Perhaps Chief X would say that this means that I'm not talking about spirituality, I'm talking about religion. I don't think that I would define it that way. I think that even in ancient Kemet, they understood that Ma'at was a force of the universe. And while they personified her, I don't think anyone actually expected to see this beautiful African woman with a feather on her head walking around. They understood they were speaking in symbol. How about medicine and science? Understand that this man, and I'm sure that many of you know who this is. Who is this? Tell me his name. This is Imhotep, the world's first recorded multi-genius or polymath. He was a doctor, an architect, a Jati of Kemet, believed in some ways to be the prime minister, a poet, a priest. We see him in excellence in science. He is perhaps one of the world's first recorded doctors. Well, doctors in ancient Kemet learned their craft in the temple, in a space of the temple called the Per-Ankh, the house of life. And so let's be clear that excellence in medicine and science, the world's first scientists were priests and priestesses. Understand that that comes from spirituality as well. I think one of the reasons why people have difficulty with spirituality and also difficulty with religion is because the European, the Tom who has done dastardly things with it. By the way, you should know that the world's first building in stone, designed by this man, Imhotep, was put together as a spiritual site. Understand, family, that perhaps you would not be living in a building made of brick or any masonry today were it not for the spiritual practices of ancient Africans. We have to connect spirituality to the development of the calendar. This is the Wheel of Dendara. I could talk more about this. I don't have time to do that. But understand that the very calendar that you use, which comes from Kemet, is connected to spirituality. Let's go further. I want you to understand this is not just Kemet. You should know that when Europeans, when the Tamu went to Central Africa.
1 minute.
I gotcha. They saw priests do what is today known as a cesarean section for a woman that was having a difficult pregnancy. They were doing it successfully in Central Africa long before it was done successfully in Europe. Understand that this is in the province of spirituality. This is how Africans played very, very important roles in the world and in the lives of their people. I'm not going to have a chance to go through many more of these pieces in this round, but I want
you got an extra minute.
Okay. I want you to understand that when you throw away spirituality, you are actually also throwing away the mechanism that gave us some of the world's greatest accomplishments. We have to speak to restoring a balanced spirituality rather than discarding the entire thing. I'm going to say to you, sometimes people say to me, what is the name for the spiritual form in Kemet or in any African form of African language for that matter? I want you to understand that Africans in some ways did not describe their spiritual form. Why? Because it was who they are. To say their name is to say spirituality. And so I want you to understand that spirituality is who we are. This concept that you can split them apart is a European diversion that some of our African brothers and sisters have found attractive. Peace.
All right, brother. Powerful, powerful. Brother, Chief X is on you, my brother. We're going to keep it going. You got 10 minutes, man, in this rebuttal round.
Can you hear me good?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. So what Jabari attempted to do, and I knew it was going to happen, he wanted to take you back 3,000 years. Okay. I was trying to center it in modern times and what's beneficial and helpful to us today in modern times. Okay. Kemet is a dead culture. Let's just be real about that. Kemet is a dead culture. None of them practices do we practice over here, or nor do we practice in West Africa. But let me just address what he just said, okay? I'm gonna use one of Jabari's terms. Jabari would like you to believe that science is the same thing as spirituality. And it can be more wrong. Look at my shirt I wore today. Y'all need science, it says in a picture of me, and it says no pseudo. Why do I say that? Because Jabari just kicked some pseudoscience information and things that are not appropriate and wrong, okay? I got my morality not from spirituality. I got my morality from my mama and my daddy. I got my morality from my grandma and my grandpa. My mama said, don't do this, young man. My daddy said, put a belt on before you go to school. And he whooped me one day when I didn't put a belt on before I went to school. My pants was falling down. And I remember that whooping to this day. And to this day, I keep my pants up and you ain't never seen me sagging. My mama and my daddy gave me morals. They taught me right from wrong. It has nothing to do with spirituality because religion does not own morality. Don't let anyone tell you that. Religion does not have no hold on morality. Morality and common sense was here before religion, before what people are talking about spirituality. Don't let Jabari do that to you and trick you, okay? He also said that medicine in ancient it was spiritual. No. Medicine is science, no pseudo. Medicine is science. Jabari knows better than that, but he played a mind trick on you. Some bit, some may know. Hey, medicine is science. It has nothing to do with spirituality. So that whole list he had, community, He even said that living in the houses or of structures had to do with spirituality. No, it don't. Building of structures take math. That's science. It's techniques. Science and technology. Don't let Jabari fool you into thinking that has to do with spirituality, because it doesn't. Okay, so let me share my screen. I just wanted to shoot that down. And he also got to talking about superhuman. And then he said you can say spirituality say you're spiritual without being religious. I already told you that religion and spirituality is connected, okay? No matter what no one says. A person, like in the church, they say these days, oh, I don't have a religion, I have a way of life. That's that cute new stuff. That's that new age talk. No, you have a religion. As long as you have a holy book and a Bible and it represents Christianity, that's your religion. You can say way of life. You can say, hey, I'm spiritual, but that's just code word. No, you're religious, okay? So a lot of people switch out and say I'm spiritual and not religious. Basically, you're just also saying, hey, I have a belief system. Religion is a belief system. You have the Abrahamic faiths. You have African tradition religions. They're all religions and beliefs. Islam is a belief system. Christianity is a belief system. Hinduism is a belief system. All the African religions are a belief system. To me, they're all wrong. Science and technology is what moves a people forward in life. And when I get into later, I'm going to show you how religion and spirituality also relates to wealth in science and technology. They say the most religious and the most spiritual people on earth are also the poorest. And we're going to get into that. Okay? So how much time I got, sir? Okay. So when I was talking about crystal healing, I wanted to kind of stick with African Americans.
Did you see the time, Chief?
I see it now, 5:06.
All right.
Okay. I wanted to kind of stick with African Americans because we really want to teach and enlighten the people on what's beneficial to us and how we go about it, how we think about it. Jabari wants to take you back 3,000 years and give you the gift of gab and try to connect some things that are not connectable, that are not relevant to today's times. I'm going to go back in time, but that'll be on one of my rebuttals. Okay, so when we talk about chakras healings, this is what African American sisters are into. Chakras, kundalini, crystal healing. Crystal healing, what does it say? Is a pseudoscientific alternative medicine technique that uses semi-precious stones and crystals such as quartz, opals, amethyst. Adherents of techniques claim that these healing powers, although there is no scientific basis for these claims. Okay, so crystal healing has to do with chakras. In one method, the practitioner places crystals on different parts of the body, often corresponding with what? Chakras. This is all Hindu stuff. Crystal healing, chakras, kundalini, corresponding with chakras, or else the practitioner places crystals around the body in an attempt to construct an energy grid. You don't have an energy grid. Energy is a word spiritualists co-opted and stole and they misuse. Energy is a physics word. It's a science word. In physics, it basically means the ability to do work. This is science. It has nothing to do with spirituality, and I'm tired of spiritualists stealing words of science and physics and trying to make it sound sciencey. Despite this, scientific investigations have not validated claims about chakras. It's basically saying it's a what? A placebo. This is what the African Americans are into. They're into money oil. Money oil in hopes that they will get some money. Sage burning. Did you guys not hear the reports of burning sage? It doesn't kill bacteria. That's pseudoscience. People think burning in sage helps in some way. It keeps away some kind of evil spirits and things like that. This is all belief system. It's not science. It's not true. Magic candles the sisters have. Astrology. Astrology is out of Hinduism. They want a prediction instead of making a plan to progress their life. Okay? We need science. We don't need predictions. We don't need hope. Hoping some outside force outside of you is going to control something or protect you. No, you're going to protect yourself. When a slave girl was getting raped back in the day, spirituality didn't help her. It didn't matter if she, her mama, her daddy, the whole village prayed for her. Please don't rape her this time. She still got raped from 10 years old till she was an adult. The spirituality didn't work. When a guy was going to be hung, the whole village, the whole people, the whole plantation got together because they wanted to make an example of this man hanging. They all got together. They was praying, please don't hang Leroy Jones. Don't hang him. The whole village of power, they got together. They was praying, oh, let him live. And guess what? They pulled the lever on his ass. And he's sitting here dangling on a rope, dead. The spirituality that they had was pointless. It didn't help. What this little girl who was being raped needed?
1 minute.
Got you. With this little girl that was being raped, what she needed? Hold on. What she needed was a pistol to stop that man and kill that man. She needed a bat to bust him upside the head so he will no longer rape her. Spirituality and the atrocities that all these slaves went through for 400 years, praying, doing all kind of stuff, venturing off from Christianity, going into hoodoo, and all those fake spiritual practices. None of it helped. For 400 years, then people got oppressed, abused, raped, killed, murder, mayhem. It was crazy. Don't let Jabari make you think that all these things. Now, it's good to get together and talk with a group of people and share ideas, and you know what I mean? But religion is meant to control you. It has rules and regulations to control you, and everyone is to think the same. Everyone is to believe the same. There's no individualism. I'm an individual. I have my own spirit. I have my own personality. See, Sinetta is a spirited man. I can't hear you, sir.
Time will start, Brother Jabari, when you start, brother. Unmute yourself. Let me see. I got you. You good, Jabari? You good?
Good. Thank you. Once again, I want to thank Brother Chief X for a spirited rejoinder. The only thing I'll say to you is he might not be talking to me. He's talking past me. The stuff that he's disagreeing with, I didn't even mention. So I don't even know.
Time has started, Jabari.
And yes, I know. And maybe he needs to talk more about what I do in order to talk about this. For example, he says Kemet is a dead culture we don't practice. I'm probably the wrong person to say that to, because I've spent 30 years practicing ancient Kemetic spirituality. And I want you to understand that many cultures die and are reborn. It's not unusual for that to happen. He says, Jabari wants you to believe science and spirituality are the same thing. Listen, I'm telling you, you got to listen more carefully. I did not say that. What I said is science was birthed by spirituality. I was talking about the fact that doctors and scientists were initially the spiritual people of the ancient world. That is what I was saying. He says, I want to take you 3,000 years back. I have no problem taking you 3,000 years back, but I'm not leaving you 3,000 years back. I'm talking to you about what you should practice today. You should return to your African traditions. He says building. He talked about me showing you the step pyramid, the step Mirkut, known as Kebu Neteru. He says building buildings take science and take math. Maybe he doesn't know much about the building. It is called Kebu Neteru, the libations to the deities. That's the name of the building. So the world's first building in stone is a spiritual structure. That's my point. I'm not saying that spirituality and science are the same thing. I'm saying two things to clarify for Brother Chief X. First of all, I am not saying spirituality and science are the same thing. I'm saying that spirituality gave birth to science. And I'm also saying separating science and spirituality entirely is a European diversion. Africans don't do that. So he said that he's talking about crystals, by the way. Why did he go into crystals? I don't even understand why he did that. I'm not sure why he did. I want to be clear that Jabari actually, I have crystals, but I don't actually believe if I put a crystal on me that I'm gonna remove a tumor. That's not what I believe. First of all, let's be really simple. There is science to color, and I think color is important, and they are simply beautiful. Let's just make it real simple. I don't believe that if you put a quartz in some water and you drink it, you're going to remove a tumor. I think that those claims are ridiculous. And so that is not something that I would do. And let me just say something before I even go further. If Chief X really believes in science, why is this brother smoking a cigar? Brother, it has been so thoroughly proven that that is damaging to you. So he's saying we need science. You need science and medicine, dear brother. Why are you smoking on that? He also said, and this was a strange comment, that chakras are fake. Listen, I think that you need to do more research. I'm not going to argue chakras. That's of other traditions. He even says that most Black women are into Hinduism. What community do you live in? Most Black women are Christian. What are you talking about? They're into Hinduism? Where do you meet sisters? I don't know. Where. Do you meet sisters in front of the Hindu temple? I mean, is that why you think that? Most sisters are Christian. And I think everyone in the chat room knows that to be the case. If you know that to be the case, please hit the one. I mean, I don't even know why he made that argument. Let me also say to you, there are scientific properties to sage. Don't be so apt to throw away things that you see spiritual people do. Because sometimes things that are considered spiritual, their scientific efficacy is later proven. Here is an article from the National Center for Biotechnical, the National Center for Biotechnical Research. Take a look at this. You're actually going to see that this study, which came out in 2014, talks about the chemistry, pharmacology, and medicinal property of sage to prevent, cure illness such as obesity, diabetes, depression, dementia, lupus sonnetter, autism, heart disease, and cancer. By the way, for most of those issues, you could just look at the face of obesity in the United States, and it's probably going to be a Black face. So some of these issues are issues that actually we are afflicted with. Don't discard these things so easily, Chief X, because you want to say that there's nothing about spirituality. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. He mentioned science and math. I'm sharing this. Hopefully you can still see this. Can you? I hope you can. Some of the benefits of science, and talks about science and math. Take a look at some of the world's earliest mathematic items. Here goes the Ashango bone. These are African, by the way, not from Kemet. I want you to understand I'm an African. My spiritual form comes from Kemet, but I study Africa. Take a look at this. This is one of the world's earliest mathematic and astrological devices. It is believed to have been structured by an African astronomer priestess. This is from 18,000 BCE. Take a look at this one. This one is even older, from probably as old as 43,000 BCE. I just want you to understand that when you're looking at spirituality, you have to look beneath the surface. If you did, you would see its benefit, dear brother Chief X. Let's go further. I'm going to show you the sources, not just give you opinion. and I'm also not going to show you Wikipedia. Chief X, come on now. Don't be just showing us Wikipedia. Come on now. You probably put that up 3 minutes before the presentation. Take a look at this. This is a scientific study on the personal benefits of prayer. It comes from the American Psychological Association. This is their journal. And it actually shows that there's a significant direct effects were observed between meditative prayer, hope, and adult attachment and forgiveness. So that we see that those things that tend to eat us alive, the problems we have with people, actually we see benefit for those people who pray. Let's go further. Don't we have issues with alcohol abuse in our community? Did you know that prayer can be used to decrease alcohol consumption? In this scientific study, it shows that higher prayer frequency was related to lower alcohol consumption and problematic drinking behavior. Maybe it should be smoking so that this would really mean something to our dear brother. Participants were assigned to pray every day for 4 weeks. They drank half as much alcohol at the conclusion of the study as control participants. I want you to understand that there are many benefits to spirituality. To assume that they're all things that we should discard means that you need to do more research. And yes, research, because you can research the effects of spirituality. You can. Many things come out of spirituality. What about the benefit of finding balance? You see this sister here in meditative pose. Well, you better understand that your African ancestors did that. They would say this is a scribe. This scribe is not reading the text that he's written. He's holding them with his palms upward and gazing forward. Meditation, I think that Chief X would like to believe that meditation and other things come from India. It does not. It does not. And you're talking to someone who's been teaching meditation for 15 years. These are some of the benefits of meditation: addiction control, violence. There's scientific studies for all of these, by the way. I'm not just giving you my opinion. And I'll if I have time, I'll even show you some of them. Addiction control, violence reduction, stress reduction, improved self-awareness, reduce anxiety, improved immune response. Did you know that if you meditate, you can actually better ward off pathogens? It has been scientifically proven. Cholesterol reduction, weight loss, improve emotional state, improve sleep, reduce blood pressure, improves concentration. Here are some of the studies. You're going to see one of them
1 minute
from 2014 in JAMA. Meditation. Yes, I did. Meditation programs for psychological stress and well-being. You're going to see another one, the effects of transcendental meditation on anxiety. And there are several on the immunal response. How you can actually use meditation to modulate neurogenic inflammation. In fact, you're going to hear this Tom Who is doing some amazing things. You have to give credit where credit is due. Through his meditation, he has proven some of these things. But these are things that come from your African ancestors. So I don't want you to believe that you must remain in the province of the European. I don't want you to believe that spirituality is something that the European gave us. And I want you to understand, family, that if you actually fall back on spirituality, you will have many benefits. Some of them have actually been scientifically proven. Peace.
All right, family. We're going to head on in there to round 2 right now. This is where it's going to get deeper. The brothers is going to have to go deep into their bag. Same topic. But before we do that, let me let you know where we are at right now, family. We are at $4,416. The goal is to make it to at least $5,000 before the end of the show. Can we do that? I think we can. If we all come together with 1,700 people in the building, if we all just put $10 or whatever, we can make it to that and past that. Let's support this movement. And another thing, real quick, we have tomorrow coming up, another heavy hitter, man. Damn, another heavy hitter. And where's it at? There you go right there. Pastor Bennett going up against Captain Cesaria. Can a woman teach man, the word of God, according to the Bible, is the white man the devil in the Bible. So that's going to be another one. That starts at 7 o'clock sharp as well. And damn, man, we doing it. We doing it big right now. I'm going to come back with another week debates, probably another 2 weeks from now. And I'm looking at some real heavy hitters. So some sisters this time. I'm looking for some sisters to get into this thing here. So if you're a sister and you want to get into the debates, my email, saw.nutter@yahoo.com. Hit me up. There it is right there, saw.nutter@yahoo.com. Hit me up and let's get it in. All right, so brother Chief X, we got to go deeper, baby. We got to go deeper. It's on you now. 10 minutes in this second round. It's on you. Hold up, say that again.
Okay, I unmuted myself. Okay.
Yeah, I did it.
No, Jabari, when I'm speaking on these things, I'm talking to the public. I'm not referring to you. I'm not saying you're into chakras and believe that. So don't take it personal. We're teaching the people, and I'm talking to the people. Okay. So when you presented, you mentioned sage. Okay. I don't know if Jabari knows, but there's two types of sages. What he was talking about is a seasoning sage. No. I was talking about smudging. When they burn the thing, it's called smudging. That's what I was talking about. That's pointless. Jabari dropped the ball on that one. Okay, so also, Jabari said we need to go back to some of our African spirituality ways. Hey, I don't think so, bro. I think we need to progress from that. Because whatever they was into didn't benefit or help them in them times and in times of trouble later on. Okay, I was using Wikipedia, Jabari, just to basically define something. Because as I said, everything about spirituality topic and spirit is personal, and everyone has a different opinion. So it's not a set rule. So I just used Wikipedia to get a basic example. Okay, now in 1992, I went to a drug program, Jabari. Okay, and before that, I was fucking up, doing all kind of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. I was on the wrong track. So I said, let me get clean up, and I went to a drug program in 1992. It wasn't spirituality or the Bible that cleaned me up and got me on the right path. It was a book I read called The Autobiography of Malcolm X. Okay, that's one of the most powerful books that has helped Black men ever. So when I was reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, I identified with him in his life, what he went through, drug selling, drug use, messing with women, pimping, and all this old street stuff and stuff that I was into. So I identified with a real human story and example. It had nothing to do with spirituality, Jabari. So, but people turn to religion or whatever. Like I made a statement earlier. I was talking to Sonetter. I said, Malcolm X was a powerful man. He would have been a powerful man no matter what stage he stepped on when he got out the penitentiary. If he stepped into the Black church, he would have been one of the most powerful Black preachers in another Malcolm X. In another Martin Luther King. Okay? So I see it. Now let me just share my screen and go to a few things. Now, Jabari says that African-American women are Christian, but I was couching it saying I was talking about the conscious community. We already know the traditional African-American community is Christian, but the conscious community, sisters and brothers, believed in the chakras and the kundalini and all those spiritual things. We believed in Islam, we believed in Christianity, and it didn't help us in times of peril. Okay, so let me do this real quick. One second, y'all. Can you pause that for a second, sir? I couldn't hear you. You muted, sir.
I stopped it at 620.
Just 1 second till I find something. Okay, let's run it.
All right.
So Kundalini yoga, these are spiritual practices of African American. Yoga is Kundalini yoga. Okay, yoga comes up out of India. It's a form of a Hindu practice. Africans didn't practice yoga. Jabari can mix and match pictures and show where that's called lookership. It's not scholarship. Ancient Egypt did not practice yoga. They did not believe in no kundalinis, no chakras, none of that. Smudging is a thing for Native Americans, not Africans. It never was. Look that up. People confused it. But let me just get to something real quick. You know what? Let me skip that and go to this. When we think of spirituality outside of African Americans and African religions and African spirituality, the first thing that comes to people's mind is voodoo. Okay? Voodoo, a form of spirituality, was practiced, started off mainly in Togo and Benin in Africa. Nigeria practiced it also, Senegal, but mainly it started, and if you was to do some research and went to Africa, they would take you to Togo and Benin. You know who one of the poorest countries in Africa is? Benin. You guys want to go back to that? Who in the Western Hemisphere practices voodoo? Haiti, mainly. The other islands do also, but watch this. What is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere? What does that say right there? Haiti is. Haiti is the poorest country in the entire Western Hemisphere. Voodoo and the spirituality track they're on is not working. Like sometimes I always say, when you're a losing team in the NBA and you got the worst record, you're doing the worst, you're the poorest team in the NBA, what you got to do is get you a new coach and a new game plan. Because whatever you was doing hasn't been working and haven't progressed the people. If voodoo in Benin and Togo, and they're still in the top 10 poorest countries in Africa, I don't want to go back to that. I don't. Haiti is a lot of poverty. It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. They don't practice voodoo as much today, but they used to. A lot of them are Christian now, but whatever spiritual practice they did, it has not helped them progress. So in a sense, you can say it's pointless. All the poorest countries are the most religious and poorest countries are spiritual and very religious. And let's go see about that real quick. Hold on. I'm just typing in an article because I don't have the PowerPoint where I can just click on it. So I just do it kind of manually. 1 second. Here's an article by CBC. Let me blow this up so people can see it a little better. What does it say? Do countries lose religion as they gain wealth? As a country becomes more science-based, in science and technology as they focus, they progress. Do countries lose religion as they gain wealth? Poor nations have the highest proportion of people who identify as religious. Family, we have to be sick and tired of being the poorest, the worst, at the bottom of the barrel. People who embrace religion and spirituality heavily, they're trying to get rid of problems that they have, afflictions that they go through.
1 minute.
Pain. Poor nations have the highest proportion of people who identify as religious. The world's poorest nations are also some of its most religious. But does that mean religion can't flourish in a prosperous society? Okay, you got to think about what this is saying. If a people are so religious and spiritual, and the most religious and spiritual are the poorest, that's not something we want to embrace and be as African Americans. Let's just be real about that. These countries who are colonizing Africa, they're not as religious. The less religious countries are a lot of European countries, Sweden, Switzerland. They're into science and technology their minds focus on. When you're focused on religion and spirituality, you're in hopes that something or someone outside of you will save you.
Time. Brother Jabari, unshare your screen, please. All right. My bad. That wasn't even the joint I was looking for. That wasn't even it. I was looking for this one right here. My bad, y'all.
Can you hear me, Sinetta? Can you hear me, Sinetta?
I can hear you. I don't know. I can hear you. Telling people to like the video.
All right. Yes, I hear you, brother.
I just want to make one more little statement, because John Henry Clark used to always tell us that Europeans and Arabs use religion for political purposes. Okay, they're not really into it. And there also is a statement saying the poor.
Brother, it's good for you to get it. You got to get it. You got to get that. You got to cut it out, and you got to bring it to the people. That would have been good for you, Chief X, if you would have had that in your, your silo. You gotta load the missiles up in the silo.
The problem is that you're not going to find it on Wikipedia. That's why.
Right. It's all subjective.
Very stupid, man.
It's not like a topic where you can just. They say they give religion to the poor, so the poor won't kill the rich.
All right, brother Jabari. 10 minutes to rebuttal. Time will start when you start, brother.
Okay, let me set my clock as well. Okay. Let me start here. I'm going to share my screen. I want to be clear that our dear brother actually said that he didn't get his morality from religion. He got it from his mother and father.
Start.
Okay, I want you to ask him what spiritual form they practiced. Because I'm sure if you had them here, they would say they got much of their morality from their spiritual form. That's generally how a lot of people get spirituality. And even though I am no longer Christian, the people in that church did teach me basic morality. My issues with the Christian church are not about the good people that are there and what they taught me. But of course, then he says that Malcolm X was an inspiration for him because of what he came through. Well, let's be clear. This is low-hanging fruit. Chief X, you gotta do better than that one, because I'm sure everyone in the chat room would have said to you that Malcolm X's conversion to Islam is what he would cite as the determining factor in him cleaning up and becoming an active member of our community, a powerful man. He inspired us both, Chief X. Listen to what he says about the Quran. There is nothing in our book, the Quran, our book, by the way, our book, the Quran, that teaches us to suffer peacefully. Our religion teaches us to be intelligent, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hand on you, send them to the cemetery. That's a good religion. That's what Malcolm had to say about this. Did Chief X read the autobiography of Malcolm X? By the way, he also wanted to say negative things about the Haitians being poor. Honestly, folks, the Haitians are not poor because of their spiritual forms. They're poor because they are continuing to pay, at least just until recently, they were continuing to pay their oppressor, their enslaver, for freeing themselves. And you know why that's happening? Because Africans worldwide have not fought for the soul of Haiti. Haiti was an important example to enslaved Africans worldwide. And we should have made sure that those people who first broke the chains of their enslavement would want for nothing. Haiti's poorness is our failure. But you need to understand that the religion of Vodun is not what made Haiti poor. In fact, Vodun can be seen as one of the things that freed them. You have misunderstood the story of Vodun and Haiti, Chief X. Listen to this quote coming from the Brown University Library. During the revolution, voodoo brought together disparate forces in the colony, uniting various rebel factions to fight side by side. In the 19th and 20th centuries, Vodun was widely misunderstood in the rest of the world, so on and so on and so on. You need to understand that this is, you misunderstand that story of Haiti and Vodun. He also said at one point, by the way, that he's talking to the people. That's why he mentioned chakras and crystals. I want to be clear to you, however, that we would both agree that many people use chakras and crystals as part of their spirituality. And honestly, I don't have a problem with them doing that. But I will say to you that that chakras and crystals are not critical, are not essential to spirituality. You can be spiritual and not use either of those things. So to talk about some things that you disagree with, that some spiritual people do, fine. There's some things that people who are not spiritual do that I disagree with, like the millions of people that died under Mao Tse-tung. What you got to say about that? Does that mean that you should definitely be part of a spiritual system so that you don't practice genocide on your own people? That would be a ridiculous statement, Chief X. There are definitely excesses and problems in religion and in spirituality. We need to actually look towards the best examples. That's what we do in anything. Anything. And so I think that you must have gotten that part of it a little bit confused. By the way, he also said, let me do this. He also said I was talking about the seasoning. I'm not sure where he got that from. I'm gonna share my screen again. I'm not talking about the seasoning. When I talk about sage, we're talking about salvia. Salvia is exactly the type that is used when people have, that's white sagebush. That's what is used. You need to do a little bit more research. By the way, I'm just showing you one of the studies. If I had more time, I would show you when burning sage, there are antimicrobial properties. And let's also say something. When you create an environment that allows you to think of your situation differently, I don't care if you're burning black pepper, if that allows you to think of your situation differently, to focus on something differently. We know that smell is one of the most powerful senses. So that when they are able to use that, if it puts you in a different mind state, it is important. Because one of the fundamental principles of spirituality is to have control of the mind. Let's go further. I talked about the scientific benefits of meditation. I can show you those articles. I wanted to talk to you about community, because he said that, I don't know what he said. I wish I wrote that one down, because he said something else that was a little strange about the development of community and spirituality. But I want you to take a look at this. maybe for a little bit of fun. I'm going to share my screen again. And Sonetta, how much time do I have? So I don't have to look at it. Let me just keep speaking. Okay, because I didn't hear you, Sonetta. Take a look at
3 minutes, 38 seconds.
Wonderful, thank you. When we talk about community and we talk about spirituality, understand that spiritual institutions have been the mainstay of African communities politically. By the way, if you want to see how people are able to vote and do amazing things, just look at Souls to the Polls. Look at how people have actually used churches in this instance to actually gain political power. Socially, listen, I can critique the Roman Catholic Church all I want. But when my mother's sister, my aunt, was sick, she got a call from the hospital once, and they said there were 3 women that went to see your sister. And she said, who are they? They happened to be members of her church. They don't even know my aunt. But it is the social glue that my mother is part of. It's one of the reasons why I have made sure that the Shrine of Ma'at is a powerful social institution. We support each other there because you're also talking to not just someone who thinks about spirituality, but a spiritual leader. And definitely we can say that the Black church has done a lot economically. I'm not saying every Black church, but I'm saying powerful economics in the Black community have also been done through using the church. In fact, I know just recently one of my family members got a loan from the credit union that the church runs. I mean, you have to understand that there's a lot that we have to do. I know that in my shrine and in other shrines, we actually save together in order to purchase large things. I'm not going to tell you about all of that because that would not be appropriate, but I want you to understand that this is what these spiritual institutions do. And family, if you didn't know that, who doesn't remember this scene?
Hey, the boys from Africa, how y'all doing this evening? So we kind of want to go to find nice women. Oh, you got to get out and look. They ain't gonna just fall in your lap. We have been to every bar in Queens. But that's where you messed up, son. You can't go to no bar to find a nice woman. You got to go to a nice place, a quiet place like a library. There's good women there. And church is good girls. Oh, this place here, where I'm going tonight, the Black Awareness Rally.
So I just want you to understand that we have known for years that it's also spiritual institutions are also a wonderful place to find your mate. Why? Because at least in spiritual communities, it is believed that you're going to find moral people. It's believed that you're going to find people who are on the same wavelength as you. You're going to find decent, hardworking people, not people who are doing things that are inappropriate. And so spiritual traditions are also a way that we do that. I don't know if I have that much time, very little time left. I want to show you also, speak to you later.
40 seconds.
Yes, about how spirituality is the major purveyor of the cultural traditions. And you're seeing here people in African clothing, dancing African forms, dancing to the African drum in a spiritual form. This is one of the ways that we maintain our cultural connection. So I think Chief X is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And in fact, he's debating someone that's not sitting here. I'll agree to you. How about I just stipulate there are problems in spiritual traditions as well? And we just finish this. Because the reality, that doesn't mean, I didn't say everything in spirituality was wonderful, but you can't say that you throw everything out because everything in atheism is not wonderful either. So, family, let's move.
Time. All right. That's 2 rounds, right?
That might have been 3. I think that's the 3rd time I spoke.
Yes, so I think it's time for the phone lines to open up. Or y'all want to go one more round?
I would.
Come on, Chief X. Unmute yourself. All right, go ahead. I hear you. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, one more round. Here we go.
One more round, Jabari?
Yeah, and then a closing, and then the phone.
Yes, and then y'all close out, and then we open up the line for the calls. Brother Chief X, you got 10 minutes. Time will start when you start.
Okay, can I be allowed 12 minutes?
12 minutes? Jabari, is that all right with you?
I'm okay with that.
All right, Chief X, he's all right with it. Time will start when you start, brother.
Okay, now when I was speaking about Haiti, we were the topic is spirituality, religion pointless? Okay, because spirituality and religion is supposed to help the people, improve the people, help the people progress. It didn't help Haiti progress, but I'm not saying that's the reason they were poor. Okay, I'm just saying it didn't help them in their life to progress. That's what my point is. Now we know why they're poor. People say voodoo won the war. No, there's a whole article on here on how science won. The Haitians in the Haitian Revolution, they were using bullets and guns to kill French. Okay, science won the war. People used to say voodoo did. No, there's a whole article in here. I'm not gonna go into the whole article, but it breaks it all down. Okay, of what happened with voodoo and how it had any effect on the war. It had none, according to this article. People can read it later. It's called Port-au-Prince Journal, Is Voodoo the Weapon to Repel Invaders? Now, this is what I want to get into. It's a brief clip. It's going to probably take the whole minute, but this is a form of spirituality in Africa.
It's called Trokosi, and it means wife or slave of the gods. It's an ancient West African tradition that to this day enslaves thousands of women and young girls, some as young as 7 years old.
Let me preface this. Slavery is going on in Ghana right now. Slavery has been going on in Ghana before the white man got there because of their spiritual systems. It's a spiritual system that is pointless and harmful to the people here, as we will see.
They're condemned to a life of slave labor and sexual servitude, not because they did anything wrong, but because someone in their family committed a crime, sometimes generations ago. And to pay for the crime, their families must send young virgins to be the slaves of tribal priests, often for the rest of their lives.
To be the slaves of tribal priests. You got to watch these priests.
This is a Trokosi slave girl, right? A Trokosi girl. How old is this little girl? 7 years old. Do you know why you're here? No. What crime is this child paying for?
Her uncle committed adultery.
Do you like it here? Do you miss your parents? Yes. Slavery in this part of Africa is nothing new. Hundreds of years ago, at the height of the slave trade, the Volta River was one of its main highways. Millions of slaves were shipped to the Americas from coastal villages like these. But today, more than a century after slavery was abolished, thousands of young girls are held in bondage up and down this river. To find the girls and the priests, we had to travel to some of West Africa's most...
To find the girls and who they said? The priests. You got to be careful with these priests and these shrines that they work out of. Listen.
Isolated places, deep in marshlands of the Volta River, in villages where Christianity is still seen as a hostile intrusion. This is where we found the tribal priest Gidisu, attended by one of his 10 slave wives. But before anyone would even talk to us, we had to appease the gods.
They had to appease the gods first. This form of spirituality, we don't want to return back to this form of spirituality, Jabari.
$10 and a couple of bottles of hard liquor.
Tell me, what is your problem with our religion that you've come all the way from your country to find out about it?
We want to understand why young girls are made to pay for the sins or the crimes of their family members.
It is our fetish gods that demand the girls. Death will strike your family unless you bring a young virgin to us.
And that's how a life of slavery begins for thousands of African girls. They are brought to these shrines or village churches when they are still children, and they may stay until they die. They are meant to marry the gods, but it's the priests who'll stand in. By day, the priests make them work in their homes and on their farms. By night, they demand sex, and they don't have to pay the girls, clothe them, or even feed them.
Chokosis are not slaves. How can the person I marry be a slave?
Do you think these girls are happy to be your wife? They haven't chosen you. Are they happy?
Oh, fine.
But it's not fine for Akuponyo. Today, she becomes a Trokosi slave. She's not allowed to talk to us, to tell us what she...
Y'all don't want to be a slave. You don't want your kids to be a slave. You want to go back to systems and beliefs like this? I don't think so.
Thinks she doesn't have to. Akuponyo is carrying her dowry on her head and the money she's collected to support herself as a Trokosi slave. She hasn't committed any crime, but years ago, her great-grandfather murdered someone. And according to these people's traditions, Akuponyo is the latest young woman to have to pay for the sins of her ancestors.
What? I gotta pay for the sins of my ancestors? That's what they call in Hinduism karma. Karma isn't just cause and effect. Karma is if someone done something 100 years ago and they're related to me, or they reincarnated into another life 1,000 years from now, they got to pay for what somebody did years ago. This is foolishness.
Family members accompany Akuponyo on her 6-mile walk to the tribal priest. They are sacrificing her because they believe that otherwise the gods will bring death to the family to punish them for their forefathers' crimes. It is a never-ending cycle of fear, says Akuponyo's uncle.
Whatever the custom demands for the death to stop, that's what the family will do, even though it's so painful for us.
It's a public ritual of humiliation. Akuponyo has to walk a gauntlet of jeering villagers and beg them for money. The tribal priest she will serve is Maku.
As far as I'm concerned, it is good because it deters others from committing crimes.
We saw her from the beginning when she was waiting to come here, crying a lot. Why do you think she was crying if it's so good?
If you see her weeping, she's crying from joy.
But Akuponyo's humiliation continues inside this hut that's their holy shrine.
Them holy shrines, you got to be careful going in them holy shrines.
She's supposed to become the wife of a god, but in reality, one of the priests can take her as a slave for work and for sex. What you are seeing are the secret rituals of atonement that have never before been filmed.
All right, Chief X. Chief.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, you got to stop the video. You can't play too much because they'll shut it down.
No, this is an old 1995 video. It's not copyrighted. I already checked all that.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Akuponyo's former life must now be stripped away. Her clothes, her beads, her earrings, and finally her pride. The work of a slave begins at dawn. There are 21 in Maku's village.
There's 3 more minutes, it's done.
2 over there. We wanted to meet some of them, so we asked Maku to show us around. There is this little girl who was brought in just 2 weeks ago, and there are old women who've been here all their lives. If you had been able to...
This form of spirituality was pointless and harmful. These girls never got an education. They never advanced. They couldn't do nothing but work. They just had to get used to it.
Choose. How would you have spent your life? What would you have done?
They brought me here so young. I had no say in my life. Now that I'm about to die, I don't care what happens to me.
But even a whole life of servitude doesn't pay off a debt to the gods. Girls keep paying for the same offense from generation to generation. You're the replacement for your sister who died?
Yes.
Are you happy here?
I guess.
In private, Christine told us a different story.
You will become the wife of the priest?
You want to? Huh? No. Do you want to run away? And why don't you run away? Where are your parents? They died. For the 5 years she's been here, Christine has been forced to trade in her school books for hard labor.
When my father died, I stopped going to school, even though I had wanted to become a doctor. I feel very sad because by staying here, I have lost my chance at an education.
This is the future awaiting Christine if she stays in the shrine, chasing away the birds that scavenge the priest's harvest and bearing the priest's children. Even if they can run away, the world they find outside is not much kinder. Once granted a slave, their families don't want them back.
When I run away,
you want to make a point, you better make your point.
I got you.
People ran away from me. Even my relatives.
So I see people talking about this is fake and fake news. You can hear it from the chief's mouth. I'm going to speed up to the last 30 seconds.
Liberation ceremony, the blood of a slaughtered goat marks the darkness of slavery and death. The white headbands mark freedom.
Anyway, a lot of these girls have been rescued, and they're still doing a lot of rescues of these girls currently. And you'll hear the village chief saying, we've been doing this before the white man. There's been slavery before the white man. This spiritual tradition is harmful.
The slaves' symbolic chains are cut, and they jump from one world to the next. So far, 436 slaves have gone through these rituals and have been
15 seconds left.
Set free, but thousands more remain in captivity. And according to Togbe, the tribal priest, that's where they'll stay.
This practice was in existence before the white man came to Ghana.
Out of his mouth, he said this system, we done Sonetta, but he said this system's been in process before the white man. And also this man right here is also a government official in Ghana. Oh, so they know what's going on. He's an official, and then when he's off of work, he goes home and tend to his slaves' wives. This is a spiritual system we don't want to return to, Jabari. Okay, a lot of those systems, even in Haiti, wherever you're talking about, it has not progressed the people. They remain poor, they remain oppressed. Secularism, science and technology improves a person's life. That's what this is all about. We need to move forward and let go of foolish things, let go of foolish beliefs, pointless beliefs. And we need to move forward and progress with science and technology and get with the world on the world stage and make shit happen.
All right, family. The last round here for Brother Jabari.
Folks, wait, let me set up Sonetta real quick. Okay.
Hold on, Jabari, while I was doing something, brother. I'm doing something. I ain't tell you to start yet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. This will be the last round for Brother Jabari. Family, please. You already know what it is. Like the video. Thumb up the video. Like the video. Thumb up the video. Brother Jabari, you got 12 minutes if you need 12 minutes.
Right.
It's up to you. And close this out, this final round, before we get to your closing arguments. Go ahead, Brother Jabari.
Thank you. Let me say that, let me just stipulate that. Well, first of all, I have never seen anyone in a discussion or a debate just play a video from CNN. I don't know, what was that? What was that? I just want to say to you that simply because I am now following ancient African traditions, simply because I am saying that you must return to your African traditions, please let's not be too simplistic. That doesn't mean I'm saying there was nothing wrong on the continent of Africa. You are a human being, family. Everyone in the world knows that there are no perfect societies. There are problems in every society. Simply looking at one of them does not mean that it destroys the entire system of integrated or unintegrated, of comprehensive or non-comprehensive spirituality for 8 billion people on the planet. So he showed that some people are doing things incorrect to women in Ghana. We should stop it. We should stop it. But that has nothing to do whatsoever with whether you should destroy all of spirituality because something is wrong. Now spirituality shouldn't exist. More on that in a second. Let me, first of all, you know that when you debate Brother Jabari is going to impeach your sources, right? People should know that now. By the way, Chief X believes that he was reading from the Port-au-Prince Journal. He was actually reading from the New York Times. Howard W. French wrote an article in 1994 that I'm well familiar with about voodoo in in Haiti. And I want you to understand that in the beginning of the article, the de facto president, Emile Josant, said, listen, if foreign people come here, we're going to use our secret weapons. And so this man, William H. Gray III, someone who I actually respect, said, I doubt very seriously that it has had any impact, talking about their secret traditions. But I want you to understand here, understand that the folks, this is in the article, this week a pro-military political group promised in a public ceremony to combine the powers of voodoo with an arsenal of weapons, including darts, poison, traps, and poison water to defeat any foreign force that tries to intervene here. Simply because you believe in a spiritual form doesn't mean you're not going to do anything else. The Haitians that destroyed their enslavement in Haiti use Vodun to unify their people, and then they fought. Yes, they fought with swords and guns and all those things. I'm not saying they just prayed the Tamhu away. Who would make that argument? He has a misunderstanding of Haitian history. By the way, if you believe that seeing girls in West Africa, in a small section of West Africa, by the way, small section of Ghana, being misused, something that we should fight immediately. In fact, I'm not going to tell you about the work I've done, but you should understand it's something that we need to fight. But let me also show you his straw man argument. Okay, so simply because there's something that was wrong in African spirituality. By the way, there's some people who disagree as to whether the excesses that are taking place on the Trokosi system now existed the same way as they do in the ancient world. But I'm not going to even go there. In that instance, we should know that people who are not part of religious forms have done dangerous things as well. I mentioned Mao Zedong. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the president of China from 1966 to 1976. But just look at this article in TRT World. It says all forms of religious activity were banned in China between 1966 and 1976. Religious persecution is on the rise in China since President Xi Jinping became the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. Understand that communism and spirituality don't tend to mix. And Mao Zedong did something absolutely inhumane. What did he do? Mao Zedong killed possibly 45 million people in 4 years. A communist, an atheist. 45 million people in 4 years. Take a look. At least 45 million people were worked, starved, or beaten to death in China over these 4 years. The worldwide death toll of the Second World War was 55 million. Those are his own people. So what exactly is he saying? Is he saying that because we can find people that did something incorrect in spirituality, that means we should discard spirituality? So then how do you explain what Mao Zedong did? If he oppressed all people in any spiritual form and killed 45 million people, then Chief X, that means you better get up in my shrine today. This is how you build a straw man argument. I hope you understand that if you're going to come against Jabari Osaze, you got to do better than playing 8 minutes of a video from CNN. What are you, Wikipedia and an 8-minute video from CNN? Come on now. Now, let's go further because I'm going to stay on topic, unlike my opponent.
It's a profound point being made about spirituality.
Wait a minute. Come on, it's not your turn. You didn't, we can talk about that later. Come on now. All right. I also want you to understand that one of the benefits of spirituality is a connection to the world and the universe. You are seeing an image of Nut, the lady of the heavens, arced over Geb, who was the personification of the earth in the Kemetic tradition. If you believe that the earth is your father and the heavens are your mother, you actually believe that you are a divine soul connected to the universe and to the earth. It is important to be able to see the world as bigger than you. You ever see how number 45, Donald Trump, does everything wrong? He makes everything about himself. Everything. He's talking about people, over 75,000 people dying of the coronavirus, and he makes it about himself. This is not a man that has ever been moved by a spiritual. If you had been, you would recognize that you are a caretaker of something that your mother and father gave you, that you are connected to every person, connected to every tree, connected to every stream, instead of removing EPA rules around those sorts of things. Spirituality doesn't tell you about molecules and atoms, although sometimes you can say it does, because atom comes from atum. I'm not gonna even go there yet. Chief X hasn't done enough for me need to go to bring that cannon out. I'm gonna just use the smaller cannons right now. But I want you to understand here that if you are in a spiritual form that sees that you see yourself as a cog in a much important world, then you'll work for the preservation of the world. You'll work for the assistance of people who are around you. You will work to assist families, regardless of whether they're within your national borders. That is the power of spirituality when done correctly. Take for an example, an image here in ancient Kemet. This is also a way that we show you the souls. See the birds here? These are the souls of these people, by the way, drinking at the base of a tree while the tree gives them nourishment. This is a spiritual depiction. They are ancestors. That's why you see them as birds. These are their Ba souls. If you view the entire world as a spiritual entity and you are a spiritual entity in it, spirit is something that's beyond your physical form, now all of a sudden you approach the world differently. Now, I am going to say to you, it is very clear that people under the guise of spirituality have done damaging, horrible things. But let's be really clear. People in any system that you find will have done some horrible things. It doesn't mean that that is the fault of the spiritual system. You have to use the spiritual system to defeat those same people who are just using the spiritual system as a guide for inhumane power. That's what people do. But now to say that you won't have any spirituality, how do you explain 45 million people dead in 4 years? How do you explain that? If spirituality is the problem, then how do you explain that? You have to understand that if we want to be powerful, we need to return to our African traditions. And as I say that, that doesn't mean that Africa was the perfect society as Shangri-La. I'm a human being and a historian. Chief X, I can tell you more about the problems in African history, even in Kemetic history. That doesn't mean that anyone is perfect. Humans are fallible, but we must use the systems to actually hold them accountable. This is of critical importance. You can't just look at everyone doing something bad and saying they're in a spiritual system, so let's discard it. What about the people who have done things that are good? Like the very person you mentioned, El Haj Malik El Shabazz Malcolm X, Chief X. How do you explain that? How do you explain that a Muslim, a man completely devoted to Islam, did something that inspired you? I mean, wouldn't you say he should just discard it? If he discarded it, he would have stayed in the street, pimping women and stealing. That's what he would have done. But he used the Nation of Islam and Islam to save himself. And then he inspired you. So by the transitive property, Chief X, you were inspired by spirituality. By the way, if you're confused about that, ask your grandmama. There are good things about spiritual forms, and there are bad things about spiritual forms. We shouldn't just look at all the bad things and say discard it. Because if we do that, we will actually discard some of the most amazing things about our people. There's some things I didn't get to talk about. I didn't get to talk about how spirituality is a purveyor of culture extensively, but you better understand it is. I remember as a child, I would watch I Love Lucy. You remember I Love Lucy, Sonetta? I know you do.
Of course I do.
You remember Ricky used to actually, he was a jazz musician and he would play.
Ricky Ricardo.
He used to always sing Babaloo, right?
Yep.
When I became an adult,
with them blackface around, you forgot that, Jabari?
Wait, listen to this. Guess what? Babaloo is Babalao. He was singing to an African spiritual tradition. You have to understand that our traditions, our spiritual traditions, are more powerful than you know. Please take them up.
All right, brother Chief X. We ain't going over time. All you got, Jabari, is 3 minutes in your closing argument. You got to convince the people on what you stand on. So when they make their vote in them comments and say who won this, you got 3 minutes. All right. Time will start when you start, Chief X. Here's your closing argument, and then we're going to open up these phone lines. Go ahead.
Okie dokie, 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen?
I see your screen, and the time starts.
Okay, so when we're talking, I'm not saying discard anything. The topic is something helpful or pointless? I pointed out things that are pointless, that can't be debunked, okay? I pointed out what is helpful in science and technology is, and it helps progressive people. That can't be debunked. So when we started this debate, I said it's more so of a discussion because spirituality is such a vast subject and goes so many ways, so many religions, so many traditions, so many cultures. We're basically giving our opinion and we're kicking philosophy and things that we think or things that we believe or feel. So it's really not a right or wrong answer. We are both, in a sense, correct. Okay, so let's just put that out there. It's not a topic where it's, hey, here's a source, bam. It's not that kind of a topic, okay? It's a topic of who's making some profound points, okay? So I'm not saying discard anything. I'm saying certain things aren't helpful and pointless. See, this is what I'm about. I will consider myself living the secular life, a better way of living. What does it mean to be secular? Being secular is being non-religious, that is, not belonging to a religion, order, or congregation. Secularism is defined as rejecting religion. What is wrong with religion? Each of the major religions was created hundreds of thousands of years ago when humans were largely ignorant of how the world worked. That is, the laws of nature and science. That's when religion came about. People were ignorant of the laws of nature and science, and they created spirituality and religion, set up rules, systems, things you have to abide by, took away individuality, and now you're under control of a priest, a pastor's teaching you. Oh, here we go. Now, what's wrong with religion? Each of the major religions was created hundreds of thousands of years ago. I read that already, excuse me. Those religions were founded and still operate.
To the other one, man.
Sonetta, we can hear you. Those religions were founded and still operate on the principle that men are superior to women. Just as in the video you see, all religions act like men are superior to women. In that video I showed, they showed African men controlling the concepts, controlling the women. This is not helpful to women and children. Okay, these religions were all founded and still operate on the principle that men are superior to women and that all of the other species on earth exist to support human desire. Much of the conflict and violence in the world is linked to religion. For example, Christians and Muslim war, Muslim and Jews, Hindus and Muslims. All this drama could be alleviated. Even within religion, there's much conflict. Within Christianity, Protestants versus Catholics. Within Islam, Shiites versus Sunnis. Each religion believes in a supernatural God or gods that can and or do interfere in the daily lives of humans. African-American women are doing astrology. They think this prediction gonna work.
Time. All right, brother Jabari. Here is your closing. Sim, bring me that back. Give me that. I'll take that one. Your closing argument.
Oh, let me time myself. Hold on a second here.
3 minutes, Jabari. That's all you got. Time will start.
Family, I want you to understand that Chief X begins by saying that he's not saying you should get rid of religion. But if he says it's pointless, then something that's pointless should be discarded. I mean, the semantic game here doesn't even make sense. I don't think it's confusing to anyone. He says that religion was created by humans who were ignorant to science. That's not, see, this is what happens when you follow European perspective, because they actually believe that science and spirituality antagonize each other. They do something different. You have heard Jabari argue scientific concepts here. I have no problem with science. Science actually tells you in some ways about the physical world. Science tells you about the material that things are created with. But I want you to understand that spirituality talks to you about what your nature is, what your relevance is to the rest of the universe and the people around you. Science doesn't tell you that. Science does not tell you that. So they are not separate. And our Kemetic ancestors and other African nations in ancient world did not see them as completely distinct. I talked about Imhotep. If you look at Imhotep, you're going to see that he wrote one of the world's first scientific texts. Today it's misnomered the Berlin, Edwin Smith papyrus. He describes surgery. He describes the pulse. The first person described the pulse. But in the same place, he also gives us prayer. So I want you to understand that science and spirituality can certainly co-inhabit. They do in my life and in my shrine. If you believe that that religion is so dangerous and that you're returning to African sources, Brother Chief of X, show me an ancient African society that was atheist. Atheism is the confusion of the youngest people on the planet, thinking that spirituality and atheism are different in the sense that they cannot coexist. And that is not what we do. So in closing, I want you to just understand, family, that spiritual traditions can help you connect to the people around you, can help you maintain your cultural traditions, can help you actually calm yourself, calm the mind, can even, if you're using some of the practices of spirituality, can help you with addiction, can help you with obesity, can help you with all of those things. You need to understand what spirituality is. I think that Chief X has heard some negative things about religion and he's running with them, but he needs to do a better analysis of the topic. And I'm the first person to tell you that there are problems with religious groups, but we have to look for the best of our societies and the best of our people rather than simply focusing on things that went awry. Because then you'd have to explain to me 45 million dead in 4 years. Peace. We can't hear you, Sonetta. You're muted.
All right, let's open up these phone lines. I believe I had my man Apostle, the first one that called in.
Oh, shit.
Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Apostle, sir.
Let's get it in, Apostle.
Peace, brother.
All right. Hey, how you doing, Jabari?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Brother Chief X, how you doing, man?
All is good, brother.
All right, that's good, man. That's good. Listen, I'm not sure this lived up to the hype, or if the topic just didn't work. Chief X, I enjoyed the CNN production. It was hard feeling. I was sad to see those little girls going through what they're going through. But that's Africans for you. And see, Africans been doing this to their own people for years. So it's no different, not just Ghana, but all through the continent. This kind of dirty nonsense, because they don't know how to respect their people. Even though Israel, Jerusalem, is on the continental plateau of Africa, I'm ashamed of their part.
Did we lose him? Can you hear me? Did we lose him?
No, I mean, y'all don't hear me?
Oh, I didn't hear you for a minute.
Y'all don't hear me? I
Now
was talking
can.
to Chief X. Y'all look like you're frozen.
No, I can hear
Everybody
you now.
looks frozen.
We good, brother.
Okay,
We
sorry,
I
good.
can hear you now.
Okay, all right. I was speaking with Chief X. I said for the second time, somebody used Wikipedia. I remember when I was in college, man, when I was getting my master's and my bachelor's, we couldn't use Wikipedia. So just say for Sonell for scholarship, Wikipedia is dead, man. Nobody else use Wikipedia. Please, you might as well come and use Webster Dictionary. All right, let's stop that.
Let's
That's
get with the
not
question,
scholarship.
brother. Let's get with the question, please.
Hey, Si, come on, man. You know I've been doing things the right way. Let me go ahead, man, and just say what I got to say and try to make this thing interesting, man. Because I don't know, maybe some dirt need to be poured in the water. Maybe they need to have some contention between each other, you know, because this nice guy, and look, spiritualism has nothing to do with the scriptures. Spiritualism is wickedness, always been wicked. Don't get the fact that God is a spirit, Yahuwah is a spirit, or Yahawashai is a spirit. Don't get that mixed up with spiritualism. See, William Casey is spiritualism. Seances, playing with Ouija boards. See, that's spiritualism. That has nothing to do with the Creator. Nothing at all. It has nothing to do with the Bible. The Bible has
Brother, I
nothing to do
let you
with
go because I
religion.
was eating something. So come on, man. We gotta get to the next question, brother.
Let me finish. I don't even know how to address a question based on the topic. I just wanted to share my opinion of the topic. That's all I'm trying to get to, because the topic did not work for the discussion, because the topic itself is flawed. It's flaws.
So real quick, I think you're just.
See, because
I think you're saying.
What I'm saying is,
hold on.
The Bible is not religious. The Bible's a history book about a people.
The Bible is not stop. The Bible is not a history book, because if it was, you'll see dates and times. So cut it out. There's no chronology.
There are dates and times.
There's no chronology in the Bible. I'm gonna have to let you go, Apostle, because you're not asking no question.
There's no chronology in science.
Apostle.
There's no exact chronology in science.
Apostle, slow down.
It's hypothesis.
All right. Thank you, Apostle. I have to let you go, brother.
It's theory. Theory.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Okay? I mean, denying the truth ain't the answer, man.
Please, brother. Oh, man. Do anybody want to say something to that? Jabari?
I just want to say.
He said straight up. Man, what else can you expect from the Africans?
The only thing I think we could do after that, Chief X, is burn a little sage to get.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he called in. He was a little conflicted. He's religious, but he banged on spirituality, and spirituality is evil and things like that. So I think he's a little conflicted. But I'm not sure what he was expecting, except
I think that he expected us just to think that the Bible is the only form of spirituality that exists. And then he starts talking about spiritualism. I mean, listen, the reality is maybe he was actually expecting something else. And that's fine. You didn't have to like it. But let's be clear, we're not going to just talk about the Bible, which is not even the oldest spiritual book. So, I mean, there's so much more that we can do. And, you know, I just think that we should just go to the next caller. I don't think that was helpful.
Yeah, it's because the topic was spirituality.
Let's get these callers in. Come on, King Simon, calling in. Come on, Nepal. I see you. Call it in, y'all.
How come you get to eat and we just sitting here? Come on now.
I do want to add this though, Jabari. I think you can.
How you know I'm eating, man?
Come on, we can see you.
I think you can agree to this, Jabari.
Yes.
Knowledge changes people.
That what changes people?
Knowledge changes people.
Okay.
You agree with that?
Yeah,
of course.
So.
Of course. Nothing in life stays the same.
Yeah, so when
Peace and Black Power. Peace and Black Power, family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, it's Peace. This is Skia X. I'm calling from Compton.
Let's go. Let's go, X.
Peace, brother.
Oh, yeah, man. Peace, brother. Hey, how you doing, Chief X, man? It's your boy, man, from Compton. Peace to brother Jabari and peace to Sarnetta. I just want to chime in on this little discussion. As far as like you talking about spirituality is pointless or whatnot, it's like we got to understand when we dealing with psychology, just basic human psychology, all that is based in the spiritual traditions, indigenous traditions that we used to have. So when you're talking about like the models that we have for mental health today, of psychology, you got the Freudian and the Jung psychology, the Jungian psychology and all that. And you're talking about the shadow and the dark side and all that. You're dealing with spiritual concepts that they got from indigenous traditions. But our indigenous traditions made that part of our life, so we understood that everything was holistic.
Brother, do you have a question? Do you have a question, brother?
Oh, no. Yeah, I do have a question. I got that Chief X on his page a minute ago. And this is the thing. Chief X claims to be a pantheist and also saying that he's an atheist at the same time. I was trying to understand. How can a person be a pantheist?
We can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, brother. You got to take us off the speaker.
You're muffled.
Oh, I don't have you on speaker. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand how can you be a pantheist and an atheist at the same time, because Chief X is claimed to be a pantheist, but also an atheist at the same time. It's like somebody claiming to be a Pan-African, but also saying they don't believe in Africa at the same time. So I'm trying to understand, how do those two concepts coincide together?
Chief, it's on you.
Did you hear me say I'm an atheist today?
Brother, you heard him?
Did I hear him say he was an atheist today?
Yeah.
When you say spiritual, that's atheist rhetoric. It's atheist. The atheist rhetoric is to say spirituality is pointless. That's what atheism is. Yes.
Yes.
So you didn't say, like, you're playing semantics now. So are you saying that you're not atheist?
Slow down, brother. We're not, me and you are not debating. I've just asked you one question. I just wanted, because you said I said.
No, like, I'm trying to straight across question. It's like you want to wiggle around. It's like, no, I'm not trying to play no games. I'm just trying to square a question.
Okay, you have to be quiet so I can just answer. Just
let him answer. Let him answer.
I'm not debating you. It's okay. I appreciate your question. Okay. I asked you a question. Did I say I was atheist in this video? In this discussion, because I never said I was atheist. I think you're assuming, okay? And you put me with someone else who may have said they're atheist. I've always claimed that I'm a pantheist. If you look at my Facebook page, it says right there on the front page, pantheist. So I never said I was atheist. But you know, sometimes people call pantheists soft atheists, because we don't believe in a single entity male creator God who snapped his finger and created mankind. We consider all in nature of God per se, and all pantheists don't think alike. Pantheists, most all of them embrace science and the laws of nature. Okay, so I don't really claim atheist, but I wouldn't have a problem if someone called me an atheist. Okay, so if I'm saying something,
okay,
it's just my opinion. It's so many spiritual practices, but most of the spiritual practices, rituals, and things like that have not been helpful for certain cultures and people. It hasn't progressed them. Okay, science and technology in 2020, modern times. People can take you back 3,000 years, but in modern times, a people and a nation progress when they into science and technology. If they're thinking about a pie in the sky, when you think about a pie in the sky, mentally, subconsciously, you sit back and say, hey, Jesus gonna work it out. God's gonna come back soon. All this is all gonna be over. We're gonna be in heaven and meet our Lord, the stairway to heaven. So when you have that mentality, you'll sit back and wait for an outside force to make things happen for you sometimes, subconsciously.
All right, I'm gonna let you know real quick. Hold up, Jabari. I'm gonna let you know real quick. I didn't see nobody say nothing, but I just seen the response from the sister Nepal. If you disrespect her and she block you, don't get mad at me. Don't say, Sarnetta, I've been blocked. You're only going to be blocked because you are being rude and disrespectful. That's the only way you're going to be blocked. So I'm letting you know now. Please do not disrespect none of the moderators, nobody in here, because you will be blocked. And don't cry to me later. Brother Jabari, go ahead before I bring on the next caller.
The reason why the caller was a little confused is I think that I was surprised when Chief X started by saying he's a pantheist, because the very simple way to look at pantheism is that the divine force is in all things. Spirituality is your belief in something, very simply, in something beyond the physical thing that you can see. If you believe that the divine is in all things and everywhere, then how in the world could you also argue that spiritual systems are pointless? Because pantheism is a spiritual system. I think that there is some confusion in the way that you have started this. I was very surprised to hear that you said that you were a pantheist, because I mean, the term pantheist means essentially all things related to God.
Or I would say the all equals the one.
But if you think there's a one there, brother, then how can you say that spirituality is pointless?
No, but I don't take being a pantheist as being a spiritualist.
No, I didn't say spiritualist. I said a spiritual system.
Right, but what I'm saying is pantheists, that's why I ended it. Pantheists embrace science hard. They don't believe in a God and God.
But brother, you can be a spirit. You have to understand that science, mathematics, engineering, architecture, so on and so on and so on, was developed by priests. I have no problem with science. You see me catching hell because I went to go get a blood test. I mean, come on now. I have no problem with science. I think that you are looking at people who have gotten it confused. We could both argue about people who have gotten it confused and have done negative things. That doesn't mean that all spirituality is pointless.
Well, I'm not saying all. There's so many systems and so many cultures and so many religions. I'm saying in general, as a whole, is what I'm trying to make.
But brother, the topic that you wanted to argue is that this is really your topic more than it is mine.
Right. So it's still subjective. It's all
right. We got to go to the phone. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace. This is Loso. I'm calling from the A.
All right. What's going on, Lo?
Peace, brother.
Not much. Yeah, man. Good talk tonight. I just had a question for both of the gentlemen tonight. I wanted them to touch on their personal concepts of the origins of humanity, and also where spirituality came into as far as systems, that were practiced. Kind of touch on that from their, individual perspective and see where like a divergence may be in both of y'all's concepts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, you got 2 minutes. Let's go. Who want to go first?
Go first, Jabari.
No. Oh, okay. I think that thinking about the origin of humanity, I think that you have to understand that there's more than one way to look at the origin of humanity, right? You have to understand that if we're talking about literally a scientific perspective, then perhaps we'll talk about organisms. We'll talk about the coalescing of amino acids, the building of atoms and molecules. which coalesce into more and more complex beings over time. But the spiritual story doesn't tell you about the matter becoming what we might call humans. The spiritual story is about what is the nature of those beings. How are they connected to the universe and to all those things around them? How should they behave with regard to the other people around them and the universe around them? So the spiritual story and the scientific story are trying to do two different things. Now, sometimes those stories overlap, right? But, and perhaps that's why some people get very confused. And I just think that you have to do a little bit more research to understand. By the way, Beck's Overlord says, Jabari loves saying you have to understand, I'm tired of it. Beck's Overlord, you have to understand that that statement is ridiculous. So let me keep moving. Let me just say, because some of you don't understand and clearly you don't. So I'm gonna say it again for fun. We have to get to the point where we don't think that science and spirituality are distinct. Europeans have been telling us that and stealing from our traditions. The atom comes from the concept of atum. Atum is the first divine force, the smallest divine force. I mean, these concepts come from somewhere.
Pseudo.
So you have to understand, you could say pseudo all you like. I don't think you've done as much research on the topic as me. But you need to understand that many of the scientific fields benefited from the work of ancient Africans. And now they try to speak against spirituality as they benefited from those things. And that's the problem that I have. I'm not saying science and spirituality are the same thing, but I'm saying that they are telling two distinct sides of the story. And
all right, Brother Jabari, that's it. Brother Chief X, let's go. Let's go, brother.
So to respond to his question, he basically was asking, when did it break up into the divergence and the origin of man, and when did spirituality and religion start? I think that's what he was trying to say. Okay, so let me just real quick, let me just say this. Okay, you have two choices: science or religion, evolution or creationism. Evolution or creationism, religion or science. People who are religious-based or belief-based are sometimes anti-science. They believe in creationism, meaning some divine force or some God popped his fingers and man popped up out of thin air and hello. Science people don't agree with that. We're with evolution. So a lot of spiritualists and religious people don't believe in evolution. They have an anti-science thinking, okay? We evolve from different archaic humans like Neanderthal, Homo erectus and things like that. We evolved to get to the point we are. So you ask, when does divergence happen? Hunter-gatherer societies didn't have spirituality or religion. Let's just keep that real, okay? Religions and spiritualities kind of jumped off about 40,000 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
Okay? After the hunter-gatherer population moving into agriculture, okay? So 10,000 years ago is when depictions began to be shown of spiritual objects and statues and things like that. But I'm science-based. I believe in evolution. And to answer his question, in my opinion, approximately 40,000 years ago is when spirituality and religion jumped off, because people tried to start organizing things. People started laying down rules and regulations to things, and everybody started following the same understanding, and individualism went out the window. I'm an individual. I have my own spirit. I have the way I think a certain way. I don't have to believe what another person believes. You know what I mean? So people, everybody, all as humans, we're all on different mental levels. We all have different experiences in life and different wisdom. Okay, I'm just science.
All right.
Can I say something else real quick?
My family. What I'm trying to do is get these brothers to speed it up. I don't want it to be too long-winded. I want to get as much as I can because I don't want to be here all day. Go ahead, Jabari.
Right. Let me just say, you notice when he talked about the divine force, he said he. This brother is critiquing European systems, because you must understand that, and you also made the comment that misogyny is something that comes from spirituality. Where do you get that from? The African traditions revered women. I showed you the mother of the heavens and the father that is earth. How come they're not two dudes there? You have to understand that you are critiquing the excesses of Europeans and not spirituality of a whole. And I also want to say one other thing. If hunter-gatherers didn't believe in religion, which is likely untrue, then why did they bury their dead near their homes? Why did they bury them?
Can you hear me?
Near their homes. Why didn't they just throw them away somewhere?
Can you hear
Why
me?
did they bury them near their homes primarily? Because what you are actually going to see is that spirituality and the concept that the universe is beyond these physical forms has always existed.
All right.
You hear me, Senator?
Yes, I hear you.
It has nothing to do with spirituality, Barry did. I guess when someone dies, after a while, you will begin to see, God damn, this shit is decaying and smells. We got to start doing something else with dead bodies. They buried the damn dead body. I mean, you learn over time. That's why I said over time, things progress.
All right. Peace and Black Power family. Hold on, Jabari. Don't worry about it. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yes, Clark Jackson.
Can you take me off the speaker? Can you take us off the speaker?
Sure. Yes. This is Glurcon Jackson calling from Michigan. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, brother. How you, man?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Since we using, I heard Jabari saying European this, but we using a word that is European spirituality, which means to breathe. My question is, I'm not understanding what is spirituality. Are we using the terminology, the etymology, which is a Greek word meaning to breathe? And another thing, I hang up the phone. If you could speak briefly about, I didn't hear on your platform or any Garfield or our platform about the president of Madagascar claiming to find a cure for coronavirus. So if you could talk briefly on that. I hang up.
We ain't gonna talk about the coronavirus because that's totally off the topic. I got so many videos up on the coronavirus, so we want to stay on topic, brother.
Can you clarify his question?
No problem. Just
clarify your question.
My question is the word spirituality we are using. It's a European word meaning to breathe, right? It's a Greek. The etymology is a Greek word meaning to breathe. So we doing spirituality as we speak. So we breathing. So isn't that form of spirituality? Am I right or am I wrong about the terminology of spirituality? It just means to breathe, right?
Thank you for your question.
All right, bye.
All right.
I'll address this question.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Real quick. You may have missed the beginning of it. Sometimes when people jump into a live, they just jump in. They don't rewind it. So you miss a lot of the beginning and things were said because we define spirituality and we define spirit. So what you're saying is the definition of spirit is to breathe. So I agree with the definition of spirit, not spirituality. But spirit, in my opinion, means breath or personality, a person's personality. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that he didn't see us define it in the beginning, but spirituality, I gave two very clear definitions. Spirituality is the belief. The reason why they call it the breath is because the breath can't be seen. The concept of spirituality is that we are more, in fact, the universe is more than just what we can sense with our five senses. And religion tends to be a system that is developed out of spirituality. So that then you have personal deities sometimes and practices. So they, in some ways, there's considerable overlap, but also differences. And I want to say that it's important for us to understand that spirituality, I'm gonna say it once again, is not necessarily something distinct from religion. And I need to also say with regard to the hunter-gatherers that they buried their dead near their houses, but we see these large pits of animals where they killed an animal, ate the food, and just buried all the animals in a pit. right? Why would they bury their dead near their house? Why didn't they just bury the humans in the pit with the animals? We are seeing a spiritual concept. When people say that hunter-gatherers are not spiritual, they are making a fallacious argument.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Chief X. You said spirituality is what to you, Chief X?
I said spirit to me, I would term as meaning breath or personality.
Okay. Peace and Black Power family, what's your name and where you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, Peace and Black Power family, what's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, peace and power, but Black Power to the family.
What's your name? What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm Kwame, calling from Maryland, Laura, Maryland, and I have 2 questions. One for other brother, Chief X.
All right, let's get it in quick, brother. Let's go.
Yeah, from what I'm listening, what I gather is that Chief X, you're saying that spirituality is basically useless. So I have one question. I was wondering if do you think that the Haiti revolution would have been able, we would won that battle without spirituality? That's one question. And the other question, I'm gonna hang up when I'm done, is for Brother Jabari. I wanted to know if is it possible for one to manipulate nature with spirituality? And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, brother. Go ahead, Chief X. You want to go?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer this question. But let me just go back because a lot of times Jabari say we're looking at things through a European lens and things like that. You know, we're African Americans, Jabari. When you say you're a priest and you're spiritual priest and spirituality, we're using a European word. It's okay. We don't have to do this racial charge thing as if, okay, you're looking through a European lens, that means it's wrong. And that doesn't equate to that. So those are like mind game statements. Whatever we look through, we're looking through it with logic and common sense. So if people are calling logic and common sense and knowledge of today of science European, that's kind of crazy to me. But I think his question was, what was his question again, Senator?
I didn't even hear it, man.
He said
I didn't even hear it because it was a little low.
Without spirituality.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Vodun, you know.
Right. So Haiti won and kicked the French ass. It was a combination effort. They had, you know, the West Africans that was their slaves. They had mulattoes. They had some whites on their team, and it was a combination of people fighting against the French for freedom. They used guns, gunpowder and guns, and that's called technology. Now, of course, just like a basketball player may sit in the locker room before a game, okay, and he'll have his headphones on and he's in the locker room getting ready for his NBA game, and he's getting hyped. He's getting himself mentally psyched up and in tune for the game. Like sometimes before I go to the gym, I'll play some gangster rap on the way to the gym. I want to get hyped. I want to get in that warrior mode. So in a sense, if you just wanted a layman's term, yeah, they psych themselves up to fight a war, but they use science to win the war. That's what I got to say about that.
Okay. I want to say I'm going to be really quick. First of all, understand that you have to study the Haitian Revolution. I think that what you're saying means that maybe you didn't study, you haven't studied it extensively. I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me. Understand that Haiti was divided amongst a number of different groups. They used Vodun to unify those groups. That's what I read you the quote, and I can show it to you. You should read the book, The Black Jacobians.
They use guns?
Of course they did. Okay, but the guns themselves without unity would have not worked. They had to unify themselves.
Right, but are you
and so I want you to understand that spiritual people, listen, Chief X, I got up this morning and took a shower and ate some food, did some work. You got to let me go, brother. You can't just interrupt the whole time.
Just a brief question. Are you saying that they weren't?
Wait. You can ask the brief question after. Hold on. Don't block my flow. I didn't block yours. I wrote a note. Write a note.
Of course.
So I want you to hear that when your spiritual form can help guide you in the direction that you should go. By the way, also following an African spiritual form unified them racially as well. And so they recognized that Vodun was used to do some amazing things. That didn't mean that they didn't use swords and knives. If I thought that spirituality was by itself was great, I would still be laying in my bed praying all day. By the way, I wouldn't even have a bed because I wouldn't have gone to work. Come on now. Everyone knows in your spiritual tradition, it talks about the hard work you must do. I can show it to you in any spiritual tradition in the world. So I don't know why you're doing that. Right, also, the brother asked, can there be spirituality and nature? And I want to be very clear that nature should be part of spirituality. In fact, there's some that argue that the word nature has its origin in the word nature, or the word for the divine in ancient Kemet. And so as you say that, understand that if you view the world around you as bigger than the physical form, and that you actually, part of what you must do is to hold the world as sacred, then you will actually be a caretaker of nature per se. This is a critically important concept that I think that some people haven't really gotten. Nature is part of your spiritual form, and the way that you see the world is part of your spiritual form. Look at these people drinking from a tree that is personified.
Jabari,
you just have to get that, and hopefully you will. Yes.
Jabari, me and you right now, we can unify, even though we have different understandings of spirituality and religion that we may disagree. We can unify together for a common cause, to do business together, right, Jabari?
Of course we can.
So the Haitians in Haiti, the majority wasn't even into voodoo. The majority was Christian at that time.
You gotta give us a source.
Hold on, we're just talking, we're gonna move on, but I'm just saying, unify for a common cause. The common cause was to rid the island of them wicked ass Frenchmen.
All right, let's bring in the callers, y'all.
They got together.
Peace and Black Power family, what's your name and where you calling from?
It's Eric Trueheart calling from Henrico, Virginia.
Say it again.
Eric Trueheart calling from Henrico, Virginia.
All right, let's get it in, man. You got a question?
Yeah, my question is for Chief X. I just want to know, what was the great nations that didn't have spirituality?
Good question.
I asked that question earlier too.
All right. Chief X, you heard the question?
Whether a nation is great or whether it's horrible.
No, he said, what are the great nations that...
I heard
All right.
Whether a nation's great or whether it's horrible, they're going to have spirituality practices. It's just as simple as that. The poorest have religion and spirituality. The richest and the most successful have spirituality. Now, the topic is certain things pointless or helpful in those spiritual traditions that these cultures have. Okay? A lot. Now, it's no one can sit here and say that the majority of the African tradition and rituals they do for spirits and guides and mediums and things like that are helpful. You can believe it if you want. It's a belief system. But in reality, what's going to make me progress and get on my way in progress in life is me getting an education and studying.
All right. Dame, you are wrong. Dame said in the comment section that Sarnetta is biased towards Jabari. I was fair with everybody all this week. I don't know where you get that from, but I understand you cannot do no wrong. I mean, to some of the people, you're going to be wrong, you're going to be right. So you can't please everybody. I understand. I'm not even mad at you, Dame.
Yeah. And
you just see what you see.
That sometimes after these conversations, Sonetta and I have to piece it out because I get upset with some of the stuff.
Exactly.
Listen, the role of a moderator is not easy, and I recognize that.
That's right.
And so, there's sometimes I disagree with what he does. I should. There's no way I can agree with everything he does.
Right. Exactly.
And anyone can agree with everything he did. What did he do tonight that was biased? Sometimes when people say those things, now you're going to hear crickets. What did he do tonight that was biased?
Let me say, I don't think Sonetta was biased tonight.
No.
Right. All this week, I've been fair. I'm showing people the time. But anyway, We got a heavy hitter right here. We
You
got a
even
heavy
started
hitter
by
right
beating
here.
me up. You started the night by beating me up, Sonetta. Like, look, you better listen to me.
Sonetta wasn't biased. Sonetta wasn't biased this week.
Oh,
right. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Peace, peace, peace. This is Mr. Morpheus. What's up, family?
Peace, brother.
Uh-oh, Mr. Morpheus is going to bring that fire question. You know it. What's up, Mr. Morpheus?
What's up, family? I think this was a beautiful discussion, man. I think it was greatly spirited. You know what I mean? Nobody disrespected each other. I really enjoyed the conversation. I want to make a quick statement to me, right? To me, between the two, spirituality and science, they're like a record to me. What I mean by record, meaning science is like looking at the grooves, and spirituality is listening to the music. Okay. Now, my
brother,
question,
that's stolen. I'm gonna
brother,
steal that one. I stolen. You're gonna see me next week saying that. Be like, did you steal that from me? I'm like, yes.
yeah, because it is science. Science is observing the grooves in that record, but spirituality is listening to the music.
Yeah.
Right. So now, my question to my brother Chief, like, yo, peace to you, Chief. How you feeling, family?
West Side, all is good.
You already know, man. Yo, I like your products, man. Thank you, family. Got to keep it going. Moringa, y'all got to get it.
Yeah.
Right. My question, Chief, do you think, or is it your hope that, do you really think Black people are gonna, like, one day, or stop, spirituality? You know what I mean? It's just a question. Is that your hope that, like, you know what I mean, that we just completely drop spirituality, or do you think it's possible that Black people, will, drop spirituality? You know what I mean? Like, is that something that's realistic? You know what I mean?
I got you. We will never.
What's your thoughts on it?
Right.
Peace. I'm hang up, y'all. Peace to both of y'all.
Peace,
brother.
Right. We will never drop spirituality or religion. Been here for tens of thousands of years. It's going to be here, for the long run. It's just, I think people need to put things in proper perspective and make a certain make certain things priority. We just need to focus on science and technology and make that a priority. Silicon Valley out there with a lot of science majors and what's going on out there, the internet, technology of today. Well, I just think we need to refocus on science and technology. That's just my opinion, okay? And then in this century, science and technology is kicking ass. Science is undefeated, okay? People can still do what they want that makes them feel good, give them a placebo and things like that. My grandmama can continue to go to church. That makes her feel good psychologically. But I will tell you, my grandmama used to pray for my uncles who was dope fiends for 40 and 30 years, sherm, crack cocaine, and they stayed on crack cocaine, sherm, up until today. So all her praying and wishing and all that didn't help them or change them. They had to come into things on their own and change their life. So, some people just feel hope in that. I don't want to just take that away from people. People continue to be Christian and go to church. Sometimes I still go to church. I go to church about 3 times a year. I just like gospel music.
Oh.
I like the camaraderie. I like sometimes fellowship and passing out my business cards. I like choir girls. I like
now hold on, Jabari.
Jabari,
hold up, Jabari, hold on. I love gospel music too. I just love good singing, bro. I love good singing, man. Patti LaBelle, don't forget where Patti LaBelle come from. Whitney Houston, all of them. I love good vocalists. And so when I hear the singing, I ain't talking about all that stuff. I love you, G. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about when they go in, brother. That's where the best singers come from, Jabari. I don't know what you talking about. Luther Vandross, all of them, man.
Wait a minute.
I like vocals. What vocals is what moves me. I don't care what they're saying, but sometimes songs in gospel are uplifting, are spiritually uplifting, if you want to use that term. Jabari.
Oh my goodness!
Like never would have made it. You know what I'm saying? So that thing, when I hear that song, and I think about when I was on drugs, and things like that. And it's an inspiring song to your soul. So people will bash gospel and big up rap. When niggas talking about shoot, shoot, bang, bang, pop bottle, it just don't make no sense if you consider yourself a spiritual person. A spiritual person should be loving gospel. But they be all talking about they spiritual and listening to Thug Life, Tupac, Shoot 'em Up. It's just all backwards. I like vocals, I like music, whether it's gospel or whatever.
Chief X, first of all, gotcha. You started by saying, I don't even know if you know what you just did. You started by saying that your morality was given to you by your grandmother and your mother and your father. And I said they got it from religion. Now you're telling us about how they got how your grandmother been praying from the whole time. And then second of all, you also said that she was praying for her children that were Sherm heads and they still on Sherm, but you didn't talk about them praying because scientifically we have proven, I showed you a source, that if you pray, you might have a better chance of getting off it. So she was praying for them. They weren't praying for themselves. Third of all, you talked about the fact that you love gospel music. There's a reason why Black gospel sounds different, why Black people singing sounds different. We have been doing that for thousands of years in spiritual settings. Can you see this book? This sister was the Beyonce of her day, Marissa Moon. So you better understand that gospel did not start in Christianity.
That white woman?
No, it is not. It did not start in Christianity. Africans have always used song and chanting, what we would call Hesi. And we do it today. If you tuned into our services of the Shrine of Ma'at, you would see us singing.
We don't disagree on this.
And finally, if you're going to say spirituality is pointless and then say you go to church, Chief X, you done ethered yourself. Where is the bomb, Sonetta? Where is the bomb? Drop the bomb, Sonetta. Drop it.
You're missing
it himself.
You're missing the context.
Oh.
The context is sometimes you have people who are considered a motivational speaker.
Oh.
I'm not talking about the religious. I'm talking about a pastor getting up there telling you, hey, you should do this and go to school. If not, this shit will happen. I'm talking about sometimes you can get a message of a motivational speech. Okay. And what my grandmama did for my uncles didn't work. That's all I'm saying. But I just like music. But I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you when you said about where it comes from in ancient Africa. But it also comes from West Africa.
Chief X.
Wait. It also comes from West Africa, not no damn Egypt, with that white woman you showed. But anyway, go ahead.
First of all, I don't know why you said she's
Peace
white.
and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is David calling out of Brooklyn.
What's up, Damon?
What's going on, sir? Peace to the brothers. I got one question for both the brothers. I would like to know, do you think that if Black people practice the principles of Ma'at, it would make us a better people, our life would be better? And also, I want to know, when I speak of spirituality, because I'm on Jabari's side with this, I believe that spirituality, me myself believe that spirituality is the only thing that can save us. And when I say spirituality, I'm not talking about religious spirituality, what they claim just because I don't believe you can be religious and be spiritual at the same time. The type of spirituality I'm talking about is the fact, for example, I see one of you brothers walking down the street. I don't know you from a hole in the wall. And I see $100 drop out your pocket, fall out your pocket. And myself, I chase you down to give it back to you. That's the kind of spirituality I'm talking about. I think if Black people are on that level of spirituality, I believe that if Black people are on that level of spirituality, that's the only thing that can save us. I mean, the science is good. Spirituality has to be first. And then the money, the material thing, the science can come after. But the question still remains. Do you believe that, and this is for both brothers, do you believe that Black people would be in a better situation if we practice the 42 principles of Ma'at?
Good question.
I'm talking about Black people worldwide.
Good question. Who want to go first on that?
I mean, let me just say, of course, I believe that.
All right, do me a favor before you go, Jabari.
Yes.
Can you just give everybody just a definition of what Ma'at is, and then go ahead.
Were you paying attention to my presentation?
No, I was.
All right, hey, caller, you can hang up and listen to him because they're going to go in for a minute.
Let me say, I'm going to do this.
Okay. Peace out.
Peace.
Ma'at is considered to be the very organizing principle of the universe. She is one of the deities that has no creation story. It is said sometimes when Ptah or Amun or other deities actually come out of the primordial waters, Ma'at is with them. So she is the organizing principle of the universe. In addition to that, we actually are supposed to actually make confessions, negative confessions to Ma'at. And so when he talks about the 42 is not Ma'at. 42 is living in balance, in harmony with the very order of the universe, which is personified by a beautiful Black woman. And I'll show you another beautiful Black woman, by the way. This is Mara Samoon that my good brother just called a white lady. This is her coffin. So I need you to understand that Africans should go back to their traditions. Africans should follow the way that Africans did for thousands of years when we were on the top of the universe. And in addition to that, brother, you have lost your credibility if you say you just like to go to church by saying that it's pointless. So you do lots of things that are pointless. I mean, I'm confused. You've lost your credibility here.
Okay, so it's like when we say, you get the good out of something. You can extract information from anybody. I learned from you today, Jabari. I learned from Sonetta today. I can learn from a pastor who's speaking and giving a motivational speech. All I was saying was about 3 times a year I go to church. I was just throwing it out because I like gospel music. I like to listen to the choir. I like cute ass choir girls, them big old butts and thighs. I just like that shit, and I go sometimes. And sometimes I go pass out cars. I'll see if I can set up a table to vend every now and then. They may say no. I'm just saying those are my reasons. It has nothing to do with spirituality. I just know how to get something out of something. And I think it's...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, ask a question.
I was gonna say it's possible that you're using the wrong definition for spirituality because some of what you're describing is spirituality.
No, I defined it. You can say it's spirituality because it's in a church. I'm just saying whether it's in a church or not, sometimes he may say, hey, go to school, y'all, and get an education. The pastor may say that. That's not spirituality. That's just him giving a good message. Just because it's in a church, everything the pastor said is not related to spirituality.
Brother, the pastor is not just saying these. The pastor's not just saying these are my ideas. He's using the Bible. He's using a spiritual text. So it's almost like you're making it sound like he's just a motivational speaker. When I speak from what we call the Sebayit literature, the wisdom literature. By the way, you said that I'm using English when I talk about spirituality. How about Wat Ma'at, the way of Ma'at? That's what I would say. I'm just using English because that's what we speak here. Don't blame us because the English language was forced on us as enslaved people. But I want you to say you're confusing a lot of different things and conflating a lot of different things. Spirituality is also how you feel when those things touch you. Because remember, we're talking about you being more than a physical body.
All right.
All right, we have things called emotions. You're labeling everything spirituality. Sometimes someone can tap into your emotions and give you a feeling. That's a normal human feeling and emotion. You can't label everything spirituality like that and fool the people.
All right, peace and Black Power family. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Sean calling from Boston, Massachusetts.
Sean, what's happening, man?
I'm chilling, bro. Peace to you, sir. How you feeling, brother?
I'm good, my man. How you?
I'm doing all right, man. You're trying to get all through with all this corona stuff, man. I just want to say, take my hat off to you, brother Sir, like for what you're doing or whatever, man. I appreciate you. You know, your heart is, there, whatever.
Yes,
you got it, brother. But now, to these brothers, okay, Chief X, this is what I have to say to you. And I'm not trying to knock you. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Because I don't believe in that. All that people be doing personal shots. But in my opinion, what I gathered from everything that you said tonight, you seem like you just need a therapist that can sing gospel, good gospel.
what I see from Brother Jabari, he has something set in order, in place, and intact, and it sounds beneficial for Black people. To me, you sound like you freestyling, and you're going off the top of your head. And some of the things, like, you started off kind of good, but then towards the end, and then with the gospel music and stuff, I mean, to each his own. I'm not knocking you, because my mother's religious. I'm not. But my mother's religious. Whatever floats her boat. But what I'm saying is, Brother Jabari sound like he has something more intact for Black people in terms of the content of the topic.
Right, Jabari,
you seem like you're more, okay. You seem like you're more of, you're trying to find yourself. Brother Jabari seemed like he's already in place, and he's setting a plan for the Black people that are listening to this whole topic. To me, you sound like you're kind of like all over the place. I'm not even into gospel music. I mean, whatever floats your boat. But what I'm saying is, Brother Jabari sound like he's more intact in terms of a plan, like in terms of like the spiritual, like the topic of the subject.
I got you.
That's all I'm saying, brother. But no, peace to you. I respect you, and I respect Brother Jabari as well, and of course, Sarnetta. I'm gonna hang up, brother. Right. Brothers, peace.
I hear what you're saying. I think you're a little confused. Okay, Jabari is a Kemetic priest, as he calls himself. He has a shrine for people to come to his shrine and get educated, get information. And it's similar to a church setup. Where he teaches, they network and fellowship. Jabari, why are you holding your head? You guys don't network and fellowship and do good things together?
You know that's not what I'm disagreeing with. Okay. You know that's not what I'm disagreeing with.
So that's his plan. What do you mean? How am I confused? I have a Black business that's been good I have brochures. I'm very professional. These are my products. I'm an educated man. I'm a father and grandfather. I got my daughter a room at the hotel tonight just so I can have my space. You know what I mean? So I'm not all over the place. I'm simply saying that I'm science-based. I'm a secular man. I'm a pantheist. I'm not here to develop a program for all of African Americans. Y'all need to stop acting like that. Our duty is to be of service. I'm of service. I network at Black businesses all throughout Los Angeles. That video that everybody's seen that got 10 million views, that went viral, it was me and the Nation of Islam Western minister met up there. And we got that Black grocery store in Compton. Everyone's seen that video. I made that video and interview. The whole entire city of Compton shops at the grocery outlet in Compton right now because of Chief X. These Black-owned beauty supplies out here, in the midst of all these Asians, the two that I made videos of that got 100,000 views right now on Facebook, the whole neighborhood shops at that Black beauty salon. And they support Black businesses now because of Chief X. Y'all didn't know Chief X did the interview at that grocery store in Compton, the Black-owned grocery store? Why do you think the whole city of Compton is shopping there now? Because I let them know. I'm a businessman. I'm not here to help every single Black person in the world. I'm not that powerful. Our job as human beings and men are to be fathers, husbands, and take care of our children and be of service to people. That's all.
All right, Brother Chief X. Hold up, Jabari. We're about to close in a minute. I want you to go ahead, Jabari. Then I'm going to allow Chief X to close out. Take your time. Make sure you give everybody your accolades. Let them know where they can get some of this good moringa. And I want to thank you, Chief X, for sending me 3 bottles. I'm still on the first bottle. Thank you for sending me 3 free bottles of this moringa. All right, Brother Jabari, go ahead, brother.
I want to say that I don't think the brother was questioning your worth as a person, Chief X. I don't want you to. I mean, I wouldn't do that either. I mean, I disagreed with some of what you said, but that has nothing to do with whether we question your worth. I started by saying that I've been following you. I think we've been friends on Facebook for about 2 years, maybe. It's been a while, and I look at what you do, and from all that I can see, you are an asset to our people. I need for that to be said. And in some ways, what you are doing is you are showing us what it means to be connected and active in your community. That's where this is not a question about your worth in your community at all. That's not, if that's what people thought, please don't put me in that. Okay? Please don't put me in that. But I also want to say that what we're talking about is how should Black people move forward? He said that I'm a priest. I am a priest. By the way, he always says he's a priest, almost like he's questioning on the sly whether I'm a priest. You know, I can hear the subtle shade, right? And I'm okay with that because people question our tradition. But I'm going to tell you that I have thousands of people who believe I'm a priest. So if one person wants to disagree, so be it. Now, I'm going to say to you that I am also a business owner. You are seeing a picture. I couldn't find the second one. You are seeing a picture of me in front of the first building that I bought in Philadelphia. My wife and I own a real estate business. We do a number of things. I don't talk about my real estate business much because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to sell them something or take their money for something. I just think that enough people have done that. And so I'm not doing it. I also want you to, here's the second one right here.
Are you closing it?
Say again?
Are you closing out?
Yes, we are closing. That's what Sonetta said. And I also want you to see, this is the third building we purchased, actually. This is the most expensive building. This is right downtown in Philadelphia. This is we owned these buildings. We purchased them, we fixed them, we sold them. And we teach Black people how to do that. We own our home in Harlem. And if you know,
that's a good area in Philly.
Oh, this is like being in Midtown in Manhattan. That's what this is. This building.
Are you one of them high price landlords, brother?
No, I don't do holds. I flip them.
Oh,
I fix them and I sell them. So I don't own this building anymore. But I want you to understand, and I want to do holds. I just don't do them yet. But just understand that we're not talking about people who aren't part of their community. I've worked in the Harlem community since 1991. I'm right in the midst of it. I have been an activist, an organizer. I've held appointed positions. I am the head of my block association. I mean, just Google Jabari Osaze. So that's not what this is about. I want to say, how come you always want to interrupt when I'm speaking?
I want to interrupt you just real quick. I just want to interject because I missed something.
What? Interject.
I just want to just say before you start your closeout that I was just addressing.
No, that's not his closeout because I was going to let you close out first.
Okay.
Then Jabari.
Let me just say I was addressing him because he seemed to have a problem with me enjoying gospel music, and I was letting him. Wait, hold on. I was just letting him know what I do because he kind of was trying to say that you got stuff together and I'm just out here free falling and so I was just saying to his sentiments. I'm not in a competition with you, Jabari, about what we do. You do good work. You got businesses. I agree to that. We're on the same page.
Right. But I do hear the subtle shade that you throw when you talk about Kevin. You have to know that I'm intelligent enough to hear it.
Right. I don't agree with you. You call yourself
it doesn't matter, honestly, whether because you're not a member of my shrine. It doesn't matter whether you agree with my shrine or not. It just doesn't. I'm not proselytizing to you. I'm not trying to get you to be part of my shrine. I think, and let me say this though, but let me say this, if you were part of my shrine, you would be an asset to my shrine. Okay, let me say that. I think that you do good things, but you know, the reality is that I believe that spirituality can truly be the mainstay of our lives. That doesn't mean you don't do anything else. You just sit there and pray or burn some incense. No one in my shrine would do that. In my shrine, we have active people who are doing work, professional people. That's the story of Kemet. I showed you that the world's first doctor, the world's first architect, I could have gone down the list. Scientists, those are people that are spiritual, ancient African spiritual people. Those are the people that I seek to emulate. I'm not trying to emulate the broken form of spirituality and religion that the European has given to us. And that doesn't mean that I'm not saying that there weren't excesses and problem on the continent of Africa. I'm not one of those people that is going to I'm going to use the word advisedly, just simple, romanticize Africa. Africa has problems too, but we have to be students of history and learn what to do and what not to do. And so this is really important for us to understand how we look at the world and what our relevance is to the world.
All right, brother Chief X. I'm going to give you 5 minutes.
Wow.
I'm going to let y'all close out along. 5 minutes to close out. Make sure you give your information where the people can get this powerful, great moringa. If you got time, you should talk about what is the moringa and what it does, you know. And you got time, brother. Where can they get it? How do they get in contact? Drop the links. Let the family know about your stuff. Go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of times people think I'm not an herbalist. I've never claimed to be an herbalist. I have that on my Facebook page, but I put that on there 10 years ago. It was just talking in code. Because I also, besides my moringa business, which doesn't make me as money as my other business, I also work in the medical marijuana industry out here in California. That's where the bulk of my income comes from. You know what I mean? So, but I do sell moringa. This is an empty packet, and my powder comes in. And moringa is, and I tell people, this is not a sales pitch. You can simply Google this. Moringa is the most nutritious plant on earth, bar none. So I only sell moringa because somebody told me about it. I said, hey, that's gonna be a good seller. And I remember when I started selling it about 7 years ago, nobody even was really, I made a post about it. I'm like, nobody heard of moringa? And I just got gung-ho about it. So my website is bodyandherbs.com. I never asked nobody for a donation. I've never set up a GoFundMe. None of that ever in my life. I've never had a live stream. Well, I had a live stream one time the other day. So I just ask people to support me in my business. $19 for a bottle of moringa or some moringa powder. I have moringa beard oil, and it's a simple, easy to understand website called bodyandherbs.com. Now, let me go ahead and close out. This was an interesting discussion. I wouldn't call it a debate because it's not like, people talking about sources. I mean, it's all subjective. It's opinion. It's life experiences. It's thoughts you have about other cultures. And, so it's not a win or lose for anyone. It's just how each of us two individuals feel about it. So if anybody interested in anything I got in cannabis, anything cannabis related I got, hit me up. Everybody know my Facebook page, Barry and Xavier. So let me just close out real quick in the last 2 minutes. I respect Jabari. I never said anything negative about your shrine. I just threw it out there. I said Jabari calls himself a priest, because you do. But just personally, I don't think anyone can be a Kemetic priest living in New York as an African-American. You could be an African-American teaching the history of ancient Kemet. But personally, if you ask me, since you brought it up, I just don't believe in a Kemetic priest as an African-American, and you don't even live over there. But you've been there, and it's cool. And I have nothing against your shrine. I think it's good for you to get together in fellowship and teach people, and you guys network and commune together. That's cool. Okay, but this was a good debate. My thing is I'm just science-based. When I read about how the nations and cultures that are the most religious and the most spiritual are the poorest nations, that hits hard with me. And I wonder why. I'm not saying Haiti was in poverty because of spirituality. I know they had sanctions put on them. I know that they couldn't do business on the world stage and trade like every other nation does because they were sanctioned. And the rest of the European nations, America said, fuck Haiti, we're not messing with y'all. Let y'all crumble, we ain't buying none of you. So they were sanctioned, and I understand their poverty. My only point was trying to make whatever spirituality and religious system they had, it didn't help them get over the hump. They're still plagued today with a lot of affliction and pain. You know what I mean? It's just, so when people go to church, they go to church to improve their lives and their situations if they feel it does for them. When people get into spirituality practices, they get into it for it to improve their life. So when I talked about sisters and African-American sisters believing in chakras, kundalini, yoga, lotus births and placentas, and Polite had the placenta and all that come from Hindu. When I was talking about all that, at the same time, and I'm looking at these young ladies in the conscious community, a lot of them have 3 babies and no father, you know what I mean? But they're so-called spiritual. They're single. They're broke. You know what I mean? Let's just be real. It's a lot of people in what we call the so-called conscious community, online community. They broke. They were down and out. You know what I mean? So a lot of these spiritual practices that African Americans we adopt as we step out the church and we step into other things and belief systems and still remain anti-science. See, I always say, like, a lot of times people are still lightweight Christians. If you don't believe in evolution, you're still a lightweight Christian because you believe in creationism and that somebody snapped their finger and man popped up out of the ground. You don't believe in evolution, meaning you're anti-science. And it's okay, you will evolve. You know what I mean? So this was a good discussion. You know, it's such a vast subject. I had so much more to go over and talk about. Different cultures and different, I just had so much more to discuss and I couldn't get it in 2 or 3 10-minute sections. This is a conversation that should go on. And I think me and Jabari did the community a good service. I think people learned, they got some, they felt where we're coming from. They heard different perspectives. And you can just put all this together and move on with your life. If you feel science and technology should be at the forefront and not spirituality, then I think you should go with that.
Yeah, boy.
So, you know, peace earth, bodyandherbs.com.
Yeah, boy.
All right, brother Jabari, it's on you. You got 5 minutes to close out. Hey, yo, let the people know what's going on, man, with your school and all of that, Jabari.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Look like you ain't gonna be able to make it to Africa this year, though.
Oh man, no, I don't think I will be able to, and that's a problem. But you know, it hopefully will be able to eventually go back. It might take a little time.
You got 5 minutes. Go ahead, brother.
Sure. Okay, go ahead. I want to say that he says, you know, he throws a little shade, and that's cool. But you know, I don't necessarily need for him to recognize what I do, right? It's not necessary. I want you to know that I'm showing you this. The Shrine of Ma'at is registered with the IRS. Let me show you another picture first. This is actually from New York Magazine. 50 great spiritual leaders of New York. And of course, I'm mentioning it because I was featured in it.
You was in there?
Yes.
Where you at? I don't see you. Where you at?
You're not seeing my screen?
Oh, I see you. No, I was saying I didn't see you in the crowd, but I seen you down at the end. And
yeah, no, I was in the crowd. I just made it larger.
Yeah, I see you. I see you.
I'm right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I was featured in 50 spiritual leaders of New York. I actually have married probably a dozen couples. I've done lots of namings, funerals. I have tons of initiates. I even have priests that will also be able to officiate very soon that are part of the Shrine of Ma'at. This is not just a Jabari says he's a priest. What I'm saying to you is that we have created and are continuing to create a spiritual institution. That is of importance because there are many things that we seek to do for our people. We are practicing an African spiritual form, and we hope that our institution will also assist us in things like housing, with food, with senior centers, with education, all of those things. We're not very large yet, but trust me, we have been growing and growing and growing. I actually right now have 25 people who are joining the full family of the Shrine of Ma'at just in a couple of weeks. So I want you to understand that. Now, with regard to teaching, please also understand that Jabari Osaze, I wish I had the flyer, I don't have it handy. I'm a historian, you know I'm a historian. I've actually traveled, this year was gonna be my 18th trip, I believe, to Kemet. And because of the pandemic, it's pretty clear that I'm not going to be able to go. but understand that I am a historian. I'm an author. I'm working on 2 books as we speak. I have obviously, you know, I have a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees. I'm about to finish my doctorate. So I have always been doing the work. I will continue to do the work. I see Chief X showing the Ghanaian flag. Yes, you know that I rep Ghana. I am a citizen in a Ghanaian village. You know that, right? It's an important part of who I am, and I'm an African. So that's of critical importance. With regard to some of the things that we're doing, starting May 27th, I am going to have, people have been asking me to do it for a long time. And honestly, I've been too busy with other things to do it. But with people on lockdown, this might be a great time to do this. I'm going to do an all online version of my college level class on the history of Kemet. It is very similar to the class that I took at Cornell, except it's from an African perspective. That class was kind of a hodgepodge. And it's a college level class. You should expect that you're going to have to work hard to understand the history of Kemet. And if I have good response to it, I might actually do my class on the history of Nubia or Kush after that. So we are doing a lot of work, and we want you to be part of it. By the way, you should know the history class, that's not my shrine. That's the Center for Ma'at. So you do not have to be a spiritual person. You don't have to be part of my shrine to be part of that, okay? This is a historical class. I'm not trying to initiate you in my class. If that's something you want to do, talk to me, because we also do that in another one of the entities that I am part of. So I want to say thank you to my brother, Chief X. He's someone that I respect. I know that he does good work. We're going to beat each other up a little bit, but in love. I honestly believe that he's a logical brother. I think that he is doing lots of stuff on the West Coast that we need to pay attention to. And you do need to support our businesses so that you are able to make sure that we can do more of this. And I want to say also peace to Son Netter, because Son Netter works harder. He's one of the hardest working brothers I know. This brother is constantly working. And so you're looking at a business right now too, okay? So I want you to understand that these are brothers that put their feet on the ground for Black people every day. And so we don't have to agree on everything to be able to work together. But you better
Thank you for that show this morning too, Jabari. You and
I thought it was powerful, right? With that
yes.
Dr. Anika Daniels Osaze put forward. There'll be more. And I just think that we need to continue to try to understand these issues so we'll be moving forward in peace and power.
And Sonetta, one other thing I wanted to be
Hey, I just want, no, that's it. That's it, brother. Y'all got to see your way out.
I'm done.
Jabari had the last word. Let's go.
I'm done, Sonetta. I just want to tell you something.
Go ahead, brother.
I appreciate you having me on. And I just want to let my friends who I asked to tune in, I want to let them know that I'm the minority on here. And everybody knows Jabari. They really don't know me. So the chat is totally Jabari fans. So.
All right. Hey, Jabari, you ain't make no donation yet. I don't see your name on the Sound of the Studios
yet. I haven't made a donation yet. And you better know that I will.
All right, way, Chief X, I don't see your name on there yet, brother.
Folks that are listening, you better understand that Jabari has been a Patreon supporter for over 2 years.
That's right.
Okay? Because I want to support what this brother does. And we're going to continue to work together as well.
I'm going to shoot you a donation, but I was telling somebody, I said, I'm going to become Sonetter's advisor and counselor.
There you go, Chief. There you go, brother.
That's a method to my madness. I'm going to be Sonetter's advisor. I'm going to give him advice on his show and what he should and what I may.
But Chief X, people don't know. Hey, Chief, listen. The people don't know you've been doing that already. You hit me up, you call me, son, you need to do this, do that, you know, so you've been doing that already, brother.
Limit these callers' time. So it's a method to my madness. Either whether he listens to me or not, at least I've got the chance to maybe give him a little advice on something.
Right.
Something he should change. Also, I think I told you maybe a few years ago, you do need to have a co-host. You need to have a brilliant sister with you sometimes.
Right.
Do a co-host and bring another kind of level to your program.
I agree.
I agree. I'm working on that. I'm working on that right now. All right. Peace to y'all. See y'all way out. And I
And
appreciate
peace
y'all.
to the family. All right,
All
gentlemen.
right. Peace. Okay, family. So I want y'all to see this is where we made it. We didn't make it to our quota today. I was hoping that we hit the $5,000 mark. We had like damn near 2,000 people in the building. We couldn't make it to that. All we made today was $110. I'm not mad. I appreciate it, man. You know, but I know we can do better. But hey, you can. I mean, do what you do. We only did $110 a day with 2,000 people in the building. Damn, that's that's hard. But I just got to go with it. I can't beat nobody up for not donating. That's what they want to do. And family, if you feel it in your heart that you want to donate to the movement, there's the link. The link is right there inside of the chat room. I appreciate every dime. I want y'all to know that. That's why I'm not going to be Umar Johnson and beat my people up. Oh, some trifling ass black people. That's all I got. I'm not going to do that. I love you. Thank you for every donation that you have contributed. I just feel that we could do a little better. And I'm not talking about the people that contribute. I'm talking about the people who wants to be, on the sideline and don't feel that they don't have to support, but they reap the benefits of what's going on. I think that's not good, man. We all need to support each other, and it is what it is. So if you feel in your heart that you would like to donate on the way out, $5, $10 to the pot, I love it. I appreciate it. That's good. All right. And I could tell you, I will bring you an even more powerful that I'm working on debate week coming. Not coming up, but coming up probably the following week. All right. Not this week, but the following week. I don't see Ebony Knowledge on there. I don't see her, but I see her in the chat all the time. Come on, Ebony Knowledge. I don't see you in there hanging out. All right, let's get it in. Also, let me remind you, tomorrow, the big showdown. I'm interested in seeing who the people are going for on this debate right here. We know Pastor is going to get up in there. He's going to get on the pulpit, and he going to preach, baby. He going to preach, baby. I'm telling you, Pastor Bennett will be preaching tomorrow. How much y'all want to bet? I guarantee you, Pastor Bennett will be on the pulpit, and you're going to see the preacher coming out of him tomorrow. How much y'all want to bet? Who are y'all going for? Pastor Bennett? Press 1. Or Captain Tazoriak? Press 2. All right? Don't be a personality worshiper. Go with the topic. Look at the topic. Deal with the topic at hand. Press 1 for Pastor Bennett. Press 2 for Captain Tazariak. Uh-oh, it looks pretty fair right now. It looked pretty fair. What? Unbiased sport going with Pastor Bennett? Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah, boy.
I'm here to wake up the people. I'm here to wake up the people. I'm here to wake up the people. Knowledge to the brain, knowledge to the brain. I'm here to wake up the people. I'm here to wake up the people. I'm here to wake up the people. Knowledge to the brain, knowledge to the brain.
Speaking to my people direct, we got a threat. 3 fists, make them see us as pets. We need to check mind states. Wait, you wait too late, we fall. Generations of many children will be lost. Subscribe to this channel and get the message through hip hop. Putting only truth in music is when it stops. Flip flop, the game is on us. The youth, they know what's up. They waiting on us. What's up?
I'm here to wake up the people. I'm here to wake up the people. I'm here to wake.
It seemed like everybody watched the House of Consciousness. God, I'm tuning in, hearing the states to every continent. You got your holy book, your references and documents. Then hit your brother's sign, get it cracking if you're confident. Sign at the TV, it don't get no more reality. It's helping us stay mindful of the struggle in totality. Humble yourself and let the commentary resonate. Living in these times, this here is sure to help you elevate.
In a new zone. Hope the dialogue ain't too strong. Y'all know that we've been waiting too long.
And ever since I stepped into this paradigm, it's the time all I got is building on the
TV is a black throne, where kings and queens come get their facts on. Just be prepared to have your mind blown.
And ever since I stepped into this paradigm, most of the time all I got is freedom on my mind. For real.
Subscribe, 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 subscribe.
You's a fucking nut, nigga. You's a fucking nut.
Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV. You will open your third eye tonight, your third eye tonight. Subscribe to the House of Consciousness. Open your third eye tonight, your third eye tonight. Subscribe to the House of Consciousness. Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV, Meta TV, subscribe, Meta TV, subscribe, Meta TV, subscribe, Meta TV, subscribe, Meta TV,
Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe.
Subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Peace and Black Power family. See y'all tomorrow. 7 o'clock. It's going down.
Subscribe.